ESPN Radio. It's a Pac-12 showdown between heated rivals, USC, UCLA.
There's no rivalry that divides the city like USC and UCLA.
A crosstown rivalry. You never know what's going to happen.
We know how important this game is to both fan bases.
The battle for Los Angeles is on.
USC, UCLA. Coverage begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. Presented by Dr. Pepper.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you going to miss? He's striking him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WYNG studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Kev, I believe that's you. It's the lights working.
Oh, that's studio. Right. That's right. Huh?
I leave the station for when.
Do your thing. I'll take care of it.
No. It's okay. I could fill time. I could talk. That's for sure. But Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN radio. So, again, I am still under the weather, still sick, still working from home, and still coming at you live here on Dayton. There we go. Now we can see him. Now we are off and rolling here on a Thursday, right? It is Thursday, yes. Look, I'm excited for today's show. No show yesterday. I felt like I got hit by a bus yesterday. Today it's more like just a smaller truck. But luckily, Kev's flexible. We're able to continue doing this here throughout the week. So I want to get into, we're going to talk some college basketball coming up a half hour from now. The Dayton Flyers are in the midst of one of their worst stretches in the history of the program, especially in recent history. And we really should not be talking about the program being in this much of shambles right now. When you think about the recent success that they have had, yes, that 2020 magical season with Obi Toppin, but to lose to two teams like UMass Lowell and Lipscomb, the way that they have, there is no excuse. And this isn't Kinner, the Dayton Flyers hater. This isn't Kinner, the guy that, that UD, the athletics department, isn't a big fan of or anything like that. No, this is just a guy spitting facts that, hey, when you brand to your fan base that you are a program that is going to spend money like the big boys, schedule like the big boys, recruit like the big boys, and then produce like the little boys, yes, I'm going to call you out for it because there's no excuse for it. Absolutely not. You've spent a lot of money to bring in teams like UMass Lowell and Lipscomb over the last week, and you paid for a loss. Keep it up, and Wright State might be paying you to go to the Nutter Center to play. That's how bad this has been, and we'll get into that coming up at 3:30. Sully from Talking Out Loud, he'll join us at 5:30 as well. He's, of course, he could say the same things I say, except because Flyer fans like him, he'll get away with it. Not me. But that's not what I want to open up with. Kev, yesterday I didn't get a chance to open up with the college football playoff rankings reaction, mainly because if I did and did have a show yesterday, it would have been a boring rankings reaction. Nothing changed. Teams 1 through 7 all stayed the same. And that's kind of where we're at. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, we figured would be the case. Then the Bearcats, Michigan, and Michigan State in 5, 6, and 7. Anything surprised to you, or I should say pop out to you? Michigan State still being shown a lot of love. Just being shown a lot of love. Notre Dame moved up to number 8. Oklahoma State and Wake Forest at 9 and 10. Wake Forest 9-1 on the season. They move up 2 spots. Every year there's always a team, Kev, that I'm like, man, if you could have just taken care of business for one game, how different of an outlook your season would have looked. This year it's Wake Forest. Kev, let me ask you, Wake Forest, let's say they would have beat North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Where are they realistically ranked right now?
At 9. At 9. Because they're Wake Forest.
Really?
I believe they'll be ranked at number 9 because they're Wake Forest. But if they had a tiger on their helmet and they wore a different color like Clemson, they would be ranked in the top 4. Because just people don't respect the brand of Wake Forest. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if Wake Forest football is a brand. You got a school that has 5,000 people that go there. 5,000 total student body that goes there. So like they're not going to bring eyeballs to the television set. Nobody respects the fact that they got 9 wins this season. They just talk about how trash the ACC is and Clemson is down, Florida State is down, Miami's down, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, they're still in the Power 5 conference, and that's all you'll hear if it was Clemson or if it was Florida State. But since it's Wake Forest, they're stuck at the 10th spot. And even if they run the table, they won't be getting into the college football playoff. They won't even. There'll be an afterthought. There'll be an afterthought. Now, Oklahoma State, they still got a shot. They still got a shot at this, you know. But Wake Forest, nah, they don't stand a chance.
So, and again, I'm mainly highlighting this comment from Shaw because I would have laughed at it a week ago, but I'm amazed at how much attention a lot of this team gets, even on the national shows. Kev, Notre Dame. Shaw says everyone better be worried about Notre Dame. If the Irish win out, they are in. He says it makes me sick to say it, but he believes that it's true. I don't believe it's true, but I'm amazed at how much that name keeps getting brought up. Notre Dame, you have a loss on the season. You can't say it's a bad loss. You have a team that's right in the hunt of the college football playoff top 4 in the Bearcats, but you lost at home. At the same time, like I hear Ohio, like that's what I hear a lot about Ohio State's loss is that Ohio State's almost being penalized at times because they lost at home. You shouldn't lose home games, and that Oregon's being rewarded for winning on the road. So Notre Dame, it's interesting to me. I don't think they get in, but I'm amazed at how much that name keeps getting brought up as far as still having a realistic opportunity, even in the ESPN college football playoff rankings reaction, like the playoff predictor. Notre Dame has a higher % chance of making this than Ohio State even. And I think a lot of times the strength of schedule factors into that. Ohio State having Michigan State and Michigan, 2 top 10 teams to close out the regular season, plus whoever they'd run to in the Big Ten championship game. I'm assuming that that's why that calculates to them having a better chance of making the playoff than Ohio State. But I just don't see how Notre Dame cracks it. Not, again, Cincinnati could stub their toe again down the stretch. We could see, another loss for Oklahoma State and some others to clear them out of the way. But I just don't get it. I don't see how Notre Dame has a path there.
I don't understand how they could make it over a team that they lost to in UC, because I saw the same thing that Shaw is talking about. They're talking about if Notre Dame runs the table, they'll get in over Cincinnati, which is crazy to me, but it is based off of who they have remaining. They have Georgia Tech at home this Saturday, and then they go out to Stanford to close the season. So it is based off of their remaining schedule, saying they're expecting them to win these last 2 games and then expect chaos to happen throughout the college football season and conference championship week. They'll need a lot of things to happen, but when I was reading that article about them getting into the college football playoff at the 4th spot and UC being stuck at the 5 spot, I don't think there's anybody out there that says that Notre Dame, a 1-loss Notre Dame team, should get in over an undefeated UC team. Not just because it's UC, it's because UC beat them. I think that would crumble this whole system. I think that's when people will just finally just say enough's enough. What are we doing here? They actually won on the field, and you're still going to say, yeah, they're better than you based off of these quote unquote metrics. And we hear a lot of this metrics talk in baseball, but when I was listening to the guy talk about it on Tuesday night after the rankings came out, a lot of that baseball jargon was taught. It was taught about, what's the new phrase that they're using? Control of the game metric, and all those type of numbers that they're starting to bring to
what
the
is
game.
that, by the way? That sounds cute. What is it?
It is basically their percentages to chance to win the game throughout the game. So all right, going into the game, let's say Ohio State has a 70% chance of winning. After the first quarter, Ohio State has an 85% chance of winning. After the third quarter, Ohio State has a 95% chance of winning. By the time the fourth quarter rolls around 5 minutes, they have a 99.9% chance of winning. So they look at all those percentages throughout the game and say, well, their control of the game percentage is higher than everybody else's, which is just, for lack of a better word, just nerd talk. It's just nerd talk to me. I know you hate the analytics in baseball and everything like that, but if analytics start to rear its face into college football, what's the point? What's the point? Especially with this UC and Notre Dame debate. People are really out here debating that Notre Dame is better than UC. Yeah, on paper, but on that day that they played, UC was better at their house. So if that happens, man, I think that would be. I can't say the death of college football because there's obviously a larger fan base for Notre Dame than UC and everything like that. But everything that the non-Power 5 schools talk about, everything that I talk about, everything that conspiracy theorists people talk about, that they'll have something actual tangible to point at, because everything before that is just based off of theory and based off of feeling, based off emotion. If you have an undefeated team in the college football playoff left out and then the team that they beat in, it just wouldn't make any sense.
And Alabama, a potential 2-loss team, is something that also gained a lot of steam. And real quick, Roddy Patterson, shout out to Roddy, by the way. He's a Notre Dame fan. He goes, stuff would have to happen. He says no conference championship game for Notre Dame. So a lot would have to go right. What I think would have to happen for Notre Dame, to Roddy's point, Kev, about a lot of noise, a lot of mess, Ohio State would have to lose one of the next two. And then Michigan or Michigan State would have to lose in the Big Ten championship game, and then that would have to eliminate the Big Ten. Cincinnati would stub their toe along the way. Alabama would have to lose. There's so much that would have to happen for them to get in, but I guess there still technically is a realistic path to get there.
Yeah, in this season, anything is possible.
Alabama. I saw Jason Fitz, who we have on every week throughout the season, talk about that. He does feel like the committee kind of laid down some groundwork for a potential 2-loss Alabama team to get in. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around, because basically I'm looking at this from a non-homer approach. I look at Ohio State and Alabama as being 1A and 1B. If you want to make Alabama be 1A, more power to you. But the reason I give the edge to Ohio State is, yes, Alabama's defense might statistically be better than Ohio State's, but Ohio State's offense is the best in the country. What does Alabama do that's better than Ohio State or better than anybody else? That's why I put them in that same category of 1A, 1B. A non-homer approach is Ohio State loses one more, you're not going to hear a peep out of me about them being in the playoff. They've lost. That would have been 2 losses. Bump them out. No talk about 2-loss teams getting in. I thought if there was ever a year to maybe talk about a 2-loss team getting in, this would be. But there's still too many defeated teams who are competing right now and fighting for it. I just don't see a 2-loss team making it. That I would have a hard time supporting that in any fashion, even if it was Ohio State getting the rub as a 2-loss team getting in, which I'd say is a 0% chance. Alabama making it with 2 losses. A loss in the SEC championship game, even if it's by a field goal, Kev, or a last-second Hail Mary, don't care. See you later. See you next season. I'm not a fan of a 2-loss team making the playoff, especially when you could have an undefeated or, hell, maybe a 1-loss Bearcat team or a 1-loss Notre Dame team without a conference championship. I'm not a fan of a 2-loss team getting in over teams like that who are cutting their teeth trying to get in all year long.
Absolutely, man. It just seems like certain teams get the benefit of the doubt, and no matter how many times that they lose, they still get the benefit of the doubt. Granted, Bama has 1 loss, Oregon has 1 loss, we have 1 loss, and everything like that. And you know what? They're all still in the running. UC undefeated, still in the running. Michigan State, still in the running. So all these teams are still in the running. But the great thing about this is, we're about to have the round robin, and that round robin starts this weekend with Ohio State taking on Sparty. And then obviously the game after that is Ohio State versus that team up north. So that part of it's going to work itself out. And I've been saying it since, I don't know, probably week 2, Georgia, Bama. Every Bearcat fan out there, every Luke Fickell fan out there, you better be hoping that Georgia takes care of business over Alabama, because if Alabama wins, that's 2 SEC teams in, leaving only 2 spots for somebody else to get in. And obviously, if Ohio State runs the table and take care of business, they're going to be in. So then what happens if Oregon runs the table? They're going to be in, because they're already telling you that Oregon's in because they have the best win out there. No matter how good this win UC had over Notre Dame, they're still going to be on the outside looking in. So Georgia has to beat Alabama in the SEC championship game. Like that's the best case scenario for UC, and obviously UC winning their games. We can do the round robin with Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State, and we won't be saying Ohio State's going to lose to either Michigan school, but you can see Georgia handling business versus Bama, and that's all the UC fans have to worry about. You got to hope Georgia beats Bama and you handle your business. If that happens, I believe UC will get that 4th spot.
Oregon has Utah coming up. That's a big one for them.
Get your popcorn.
that's another big test coming up for Oregon as we currently sit here right now, who, many say that outside of Ohio State, how much have they been tested? Their win is the best win in the country right now, but their loss is also a very bad loss, losing at, it was on the road, at least at Stanford. But, you're at number 23, Utah. This would be huge because it's the second to last game. You do got Oregon State coming up around the quarter. This game with Utah, how big is that? Obviously, it's big, so it's a generic question. But for the outlook of the college football playoff, how big are we talking here?
It's huge because obviously Utah is now ranked 23, and just a connection Utah has to Dayton, Ohio. Their leading running back, Tavion Thompson, went to Dunbar. He has over like 900 yards rushing this year. Shouts out to the Dunbar Wolverines. But you know what? They don't only have Utah this week. They most likely are going to play Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. So they're not going to escape Utah. Like, they got to go to Utah this week where they're the underdog, and then they'll probably see them again. So, and Utah is a very physical team. They're kind of like Michigan State of the Pac-12. Travion Henderson is a kid that's 6'2", 240 pounds. Very similar to Kenneth Walker, the third up at Michigan State. So he's a very powerful running back. So you look at those two matchups that they're going to have to go up against Utah. I'm seeing a split. And in the NFL, a split is great, but not in college football. Not in college football. If Oregon wants to have a chance to party with the big dogs, they're gonna have to run the table just like Ohio State.
Interesting here too, because a split, it does matter the order and how it's split. And what I mean by that is Oregon, you win this game and win out and you get to the Pac-12 championship. No, never mind. I'm going to erase that thought. I was going somewhere with that, but I'm like, no, a 2-loss Oregon team's not getting in.
Yeah, they're out.
This is what's frustrating about these teams, Kev. Like Oregon, they always shoot themselves in the foot. They always have an opportunity every year, and they always have not a good loss. It's always a bad loss. Like that loss against Stanford is not a good one. And I look at Wake Forest, too, another team that like Northwestern last year. Remember, Kev, I said if Northwestern would have remained undefeated in the regular season, we could have talked about them potentially had they lost a close one to Ohio State or maybe just edged out Ohio State, how they would have a shot at the playoff, too. Like it's always these teams that have a shot that they always claim they don't, but yet they have no one to blame but themselves when they don't get that opportunity. Wake Forest, they had an opportunity this year to make noise and make the committee uncomfortable. They shot themselves in the foot. Oregon, you have the win against Ohio State. That's super. But now you lost to Stanford. You shouldn't have. Now you have these upcoming matchups with Utah, potentially 2 of the next 3 games, and with the final one being in the Pac-12 championship game. They had a room for a loss. They could have lost one of those 2. Now you're in these must-win situations where you have to beat a good team not once but twice, and that's what I find interesting about the race to the finish line as far as this Oregon matchup is concerned with the 2 of the next 3 weeks.
Oh, man, it's huge, and this is exactly what we want, man. We got a ton of games coming on this weekend. This is what I like to call a park your ass Saturday, man. We got matchups all day. We got matchups all day long. Obviously, the noon window with the Buckeyes and Sparty. Then, we're going to be watching Michigan State to make sure they watch Michigan to hope they hold up their end of the bargain for the big matchup the following week. They got Maryland. So, and then that 8 o'clock game, that 7:30 game is that Utah-Oregon game. So this is just like sit down and tell the wife, tell the kids, I'm busy all day. I'm busy all day. I'm busy starting at noon. Don't bother me until 11:30. That's the type of weekend it is for me, man. I'm not to be bothered this weekend. This is awesome. I love it.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, OGW Energy Resources, and Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. We'll step away for a few moments. 518-1410, that's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. We're also live on Facebook and YouTube. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. You can find us there. Kev, Shaw says, what you are saying, Kinner, is exactly why the playoff needs to be expanded. There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good teams that their seasons will be forgotten because they had a bad 2 weeks. I don't believe a team should have a bad 2 weeks. I believe you're allowed 1 bad week. We're only talking 13 games. This isn't even an NFL 17-game season. I disagree, Shaw. There's really only one good reason to expand the playoffs, and that's money. But there's too many years. In fact, it could be this year where you're not even finding 4 teams worthy of actually winning a national championship. You're squeezing a 4th team in every single year, but people are screaming for more. A lot of times the teams that miss it, can you name one team that has missed the playoff that should have made it? I can name more teams that made it that shouldn't have over teams that should have made it that should have. Kev, I'm sure you have an answer to rebuke that, but what do you think?
It's always.
I think every year that fourth team is always pretty questionable at that, and not because someone else deserves to be in. It's just because they just don't match up against the other three. And even
the one that I always go back to, people question my Buckeye loyalty card and everything like that, but it would be that TCU year, the first year of the college football playoff, TCU. I will look at that. I will also look at the year that, Penn State got left out and Ohio State got put in and everything like that. And I know everybody will say Penn State had 2 losses and all that type of stuff. Like, those are really the only ones that really jump out to me top of head that, it could have went this way or the other way in my mind. But, ultimately, I do think they do a good enough job of getting the right teams in there, quote unquote, because, I go back and forth with this expansion thing because ultimately I want expanded because I'm not saying like, oh man, this team deserves it, that team deserves it. I'm saying we want more fan bases involved throughout the rest of the regular season, the back end of the season, everything like that. I want these rivalry games to mean more, everything like that. But in this year, there's been so much parity, it's almost looking like the NFL. So in a year like this, we don't need an expansion because you know what? It looks like any team can win it. To me, okay, let me ask you this. Out of the top 10 teams in the CFP rankings, how many of them do you think could win a national championship?
3. Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State. And Georgia, actually, their defense is the only reason I'm putting them in that conversation, but I believe Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia. And Georgia's defense is the main reason why.
So who do you think is the best team out of those?
Crap. I don't know. I don't want to be a homer and say Ohio State because that defense is atrocious. But Georgia's offense is pretty bad too, statistically.
Right.
And I can't say Alabama because they're very similar to Ohio State, but their strength of schedule separates them. That's a tough one, Kev. I'm giving a horrible answer to that. I give a confident answer, and then I'm realizing I don't have an answer. I know it's between those 3.
I think this thing is totally wide open. I think that Georgia, Bama, Oregon, Ohio State, and believe it or not, I truly do believe that UC could win the national championship. I truly do believe that. And it's really all about the matchup. It's truly all about the matchup because I think that UC can beat Georgia. Yes, Georgia's defense is elite and they're returning 11 starters. Well, this same UC team was toe-to-toe with them in the Sugar Bowl last year and everything like that. So if you're going to basically say these are 2 of the best defenses, and according to Mel Kiper's big board, UC has 2 first-round picks on their defense. Yeah, Georgia has like 12, but nonetheless, they still got first-round picks on their defense. And if that is the matchup, I wouldn't have a problem, and I could believe that UC could beat Georgia. So then you say, like, all right, who could win the 2-3 matchup or something like that? If that's the case, that would be, Ohio State or Oregon. So let's just say hypothetically, and let me stress hypothetically, we've already seen Oregon beat Ohio State. So let's just say that happened again. Let's just say Oregon beat Ohio State again. Please don't take my Buckeye card. You think that UC could beat Oregon? Because I do. I don't think that Oregon is light years ahead of UC. The only schools that I think that are really light years ahead of everybody else is Bama and Ohio State. Even though Georgia technically is the number 1 team because of that defense, but that offense is just aight. And I think they're only score 17 points, if that, versus Ohio State or Alabama. But can they hold Ohio State under 21?
In the first quarter? All right, Kev, I like that question. I'm going to steal that question.
It's all good.
How many? Okay, forget who we think the top 4 are going to be, because a lot of times when people ask me who my top 4 are, I base it on the resumes and how good these teams are. But how many of these teams in the conversation, if you just want to look at the top 7, are actually good enough to win a national championship? How many are, like, I said 3. I said Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, no particular order. I just threw those teams out. But then Kev told me who's the best of those 3? That's where it kind of got tough. But how many teams in the hunt? Michigan, Michigan State, you have Oregon, Cincinnati. How many of these teams actually have a legitimate shot to win a national championship, are good enough to win a national championship? 518-1410. Kev's all alone in that studio. Make him feel less lonely, will you? Give him a call. 518-1410. Call Kev, and then he'll get you on with us, and we'll get your takes on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear, sunny, and windy, a high near 48. Tonight will be mostly clear, a low around 28. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 42. I'm Pete Spyback for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces at your home, office, or commercial property. Introducing infrared patching, a new technology for your property. This service and more at culletsealcoating.com.
BC Powder knows life pushes us to the max, work to the max, family to the max. It can all mean pain to the max. So BC introduces new BC Max Strength. New BC Max relieves tough headaches and body pain at the speed of powder. Nothing stronger on pain without a prescription. Pain to the max? New BC Max in a great tasting lemonade flavor.
Fever is the leading symptom of COVID and the flu, and the only way to reliably detect fever is with an accurate thermometer. Be vigilant and be accurate with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, proven in more than 100 clinical studies. Don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They are proven to be inaccurate and will not reliably detect a fever that might mean COVID. Be sure to seek medical advice at the first sign of fever. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris, Ohio has immediate openings for second and third shift production associates. KTH promotes from within, offers medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at just over $19 per hour with annual increases. KTH will be hosting walk-in interviews Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Please bring a resume and photo ID. Visit kth.net for more information. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Bags under your eyes? That's junk sleep. And Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Black Friday sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. I buy properties as is. Make no repairs. Take what you want and leave the rest behind. We make selling easy. I buy vacant properties, pre-foreclosures, and inherited homes. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorces, death in the family, back taxes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
My son is not some statistic.
My daughter's not a headline.
My girl, she's not someone's agenda.
What she
is
irreplaceable. COVID hospitalizations of young people have
tripled since the start of summer.
So I talked to my daughter's doctor about COVID vaccines.
She said they're highly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, even from the Delta variant.
We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson and Xenia has gifts for everyone on your list this year. November 24th, 26th, and 27th. Take 20% off licensed products, 10% off aftermarket non-Harley-Davidson parts, and have those incredible gifts wrapped and ready to go with free gift wrapping. Get those names checked off your list and give them what they really want this year, the gift of Harley-Davidson. Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson, 1213 Xenia Avenue in Xenia. Online at buckmansdnd.com.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Bags under your eyes? That's junk sleep. And Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Black Friday sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, live on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Also live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show, like the page, and be a part of all the conversation on there throughout the day leading into the show. And then, of course, tell me how dumb I am and wrong I am and how awesome Kev is in the chat section throughout the show as well. Ann Anderson. Oh, see, here's someone that's nice. Justin, feel better. Thank you, Ann. I appreciate that. I feel much better today, but just playing it safe is all. Let me ask you, Mel Tucker, Kev signs that massive deal. But if you talk about a dude that's capitalizing on how quickly he turned a program around at the same time of, well, having so many top-tier programs out there available, Mel Tucker, the demand for Mel Tucker may not have been as high had so many jobs opened up and so many high-profile names turning jobs down already. And that's not a slight at Mel Tucker. That's just one of those situations where it's like for Mel Tucker. We don't know necessarily who he is, but I do know how quickly he turned things around, and there's a lot to be said about that. What I love most about what Mel Tucker did is because he had the guts to make a change and take the job, knowing that it was going to be a disaster, knowing that it was going to be a mess, and decided to take it anyway. And then you have a guy like Luke Fickell, who's doing a fantastic job at Cincinnati, don't get me wrong. But as I said, when Luke Fickell turned down the Michigan State job, and Bearcat fans went crazy, and they said, oh, my goodness, I love how loyal this cat is. I said, he's not loyal. Not that I'm saying he's not loyal, or not that I'm saying he's a bad person. But, Kev, I don't think that Luke Fickell turned down the Michigan State job because he felt Cincinnati was what was best moving forward. I think he turned down the Michigan State job because Cincinnati was what was best for him in the immediate time frame that he's coaching in. So I look at Luke Fickell, who turned down the Michigan State job because of how much of a mess it was. That's why I have so much respect for Mel Tucker, because every excuse as to why Luke Fickell turned that job down, Mel Tucker could have turned it down as well. And I think that Mel Tucker is doing a better job than what anyone would have thought that Luke Fickell would have done had he taken over right away. I'm not asking if you're surprised at Mel Tucker's performance as head coach of Michigan State. I guess are you surprised? I'll just say it. I don't care who the head coach was. I'm surprised that Michigan State turned it around so dang quickly. And I don't really care what the result is of this Saturday or even the rest of the season. For Michigan State to be in the playoff conversation for as long as they have, Luke Fickell turned that job down because that wasn't supposed to be possible. And yet, here Michigan State is, and here's Mel Tucker, and here's Mel Tucker now, one of the highest paid coaches in all of college football, paid significantly more than Ryan Day, paid more than a lot. But what you're starting to see is a lot of coaches are getting paid based on potential than what they've accomplished already. If you look at Dabo Swinney and you look at Nick Saban, those two coaches are paid based on what they've already done and what they continue to do. I know Dabo and Clemson down right now, but two guys that have multiple national championships. It's interesting, though, seeing how these coaches get paid and how long before Ryan Day gets a major payday like that.
What Mel Tucker is doing at Michigan State, I'm blown away by. And I had this conversation with my brother and my uncle, who actually played on the same high school football team as Mel Tucker, Cleveland Heights High School Tigers. That's my high school, by the way. He reminded me about all the connections that Mel Tucker has. Obviously, Mel Tucker being from Cleveland, Ohio, so he has connections there. Coach under Jim Tressel at Ohio State. Then he coached under Nick Saban. Then he coached under at Georgia. Why am I blanking on his name? Kirby Smart. So he has a lot of connections all over the place because he's been an assistant coach and defensive coordinator at so many different stops. So that allowed him to hit the transfer portal like nobody else's business. And I didn't think that was possible. He's taking advantage of the transfer portal because, all these guys that, he tried to recruit to an Ohio State, to Bama, to a Georgia. It's not panning out for you down there. Oh, you the third on the depth chart, you're second on the depth chart. Come here and make Sparty great. And that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. And for him to leave Colorado when he left Colorado, because, it was basically spring practice was about to begin when he left Colorado to come to Michigan State and everything like that. I thought they were headed for disaster just because of the time. And then, COVID and everything like that, everything that was happening. I was like, oh, man, this first season ain't going to be so great. But then what do? They end up beating their biggest rival in Michigan. And then this year they beat Michigan again. So he's 2-0 versus Michigan. And then on top of that, they're right in the college football playoff hunt. He's doing a tremendous job. Do I think Luke Fickell could have did something like this? Not in the first 2 years, because I don't think Luke Fickell has as many connections all over the country that Mel Tucker had. Yes, of course, Luke Fickell has all the connections in Ohio. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, think about some of the gems that he was able to get to come to Ohio State, like a Darren Lee, and think about how he was trying to get Le'Veon Bell to come to Ohio State, everything like that. Like, he finds these guys that are real good football players, but Mel Tucker has connections all across the country, down there in Texas, down there in Georgia, down there in Florida. So you look at the guys that are on Michigan State's teams, the guys that are making an impact, most of the dudes are transfers. You know what I'm saying? So he was able to take advantage of the transfer portal. He has him in prime position to make a run to the college football playoff. And did I mention Mel Tucker went to my high school?
I think a time or two, maybe once. So this is what fascinates me about Mel Tucker. By the way, I have no problem with him getting that major payday, and kudos to Michigan State, because too many times we talk about these programs who, they're they're playing at a disadvantage because of lack of money and resources. And as we've seen in college athletics, just like I preach in pro sports, I'm so tired of hearing these, especially these upper echelon programs and these professional, franchises complain about lack of money and resources. If you want something bad enough, you'll spend money for it. And kudos to Michigan State for watching. Everything you just said is probably what Michigan State thought when they hired Mel Tucker. Man, we're at the bottom of the barrel right now. We have all these allegations against us. We just lost a really, really great head coach in D'Antonio, and now all of a sudden we're going to bring in Mel Tucker, who's never been head coach, and there's no way within a year we're going to be talking about potential college football playoff competition, and yet here we are. Good for them, Kev, for being willing to fork that money over, because they could have easily said, all right, LSU's after them, USC's after them, these top we can't compete with that. Good for Michigan State for being willing to put their foot forward and pay him. Now the game changes, though, because there wasn't expectations. I mean, there's expectations to perform, but not, it wasn't there financially. We saw with Harbaugh, who had to take a pay cut just to keep his job. Things can change quickly, but I do like the vote of confidence, basically, that Michigan State put into Mel Tucker, who big time deserves it, and I'm excited to see what they do moving forward. This is a win for Ohio State in the Big Ten, because Harbaugh and Michigan's not doing their part. It's about time that some team from that state does something, because Michigan State, Ohio State needs other teams in the Big Ten to step up, and that's exactly what Mel Tucker has done since taking over.
Well, Sparty's been that team from the Big Ten that, gives Ohio State a run for their money. They beat us before, was that in 15 at our place on senior night and everything like that, and made a run to the college football playoff. And another reason that Sparty's able to, dig deep in their pockets because of boosters like a Dan Gilbert. Yes, that Dan Gilbert that owns the Cleveland Cavaliers, that owns the Quicken Loans. He's billions on billions, man. He's got a lot of money. So him to cough up a couple bucks to keep a great coach like that, that's nothing to him. You know what I'm saying? That's what boosters are for. You're there to make sure when you get a head coach, a good head coach, you keep that good head coach. And, Dan Gilbert, I know a lot of people around here don't like him, and especially in Cleveland, they really don't like him for the whole debacle with LeBron and everything like that. But he has never been a person or a sports owner or a guy involved in sports that doesn't spend money. You could question how he spends his money, but he definitely spends money. He tries his best to buy championships and everything like that. So he's coughed up a lot of money to help keep Mel Tucker with Michigan State.
What I find interesting is that some programs, you're not paid to win national championships. You're paid just to be competitive with the teams in your conference that do go on to win national championships. And that's what I've always just found strange to me, like Brom at Purdue. Brom beats Ohio State a few years ago. Purdue beats Ohio State a few years ago, and he gets that massive contract extension. Got another one recently as well. And it's like, all you have to do, get a couple big top 10 upset wins throughout your time at Purdue, and you'll be financially taken care of. We see the same thing at Northwestern. Fitzgerald's a very good head coach, but all he has to, this is a guy that loses 3 to 4 games a year and is paid like a guy that is in the playoff every year. It's crazy to me when you look at how that's panned out. Ryan Day almost gets penalized for his team going above and beyond what some of those other coaches do, even Michigan State at this point. And because Ryan Day doesn't do what Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban does, he's not making that type of money yet. It's strange to me what teams find reasonable in justifying what they're willing to spend money on. Ohio State's looking at Ryan Day saying, well, we're going to pay you. We'll take care of you. We're not going to give you we're not going to give you Nick Saban or Dabo Swinney money until you get us a national championship, but we'll pay you, reasonably. But then you get Mel Tucker, who a year and a half into his career, because they don't want to lose him, because they love where the program's headed, they give him that money. Brom gets that money. Fitzgerald gets that money. It is weird what programs are willing to pay just to ask your program to be competitive. You look at Texas A&M with your former coach. Hey, he beat Alabama this year. Who cares if you don't make the playoff? Who cares if you don't win a national championship? As long as you could eventually, Kev, we're going to get to the point where teams are hanging. We beat Ohio State in 2020 or 2021. Oh, we beat Alabama. You're going to have banners hung in these stadiums for beating Alabama, for beating Ohio State. Why not? That's what you're paying these coaches for anyways. You're not paying them to actually win the division. You're not paying them to make the college football playoff. You're not paying them to win a championship. That to me is weird. It's not going to change. It's not like I'm losing sleep over that, Kev, but I do find that as a very weird dynamic in sports on how we justify what coaches get paid. But yeah, paying Texas A&M's coach, your former coach, money just to be competitive with Alabama and not to win the championship is strange to me.
It's all about leverage. Mel Tucker had the leverage to get a raise because so many teams were after him. LSU was after him, USC was after him, and everything like that. When there's other big time programs with job openings and firing head coaches on the tarmac and firing head coaches after a year after winning a national championship, and they got agents and everything like that. Because trust me, all these agents, especially in college sports, they know each other and they know all the ADs, and they put fillers out there. They call the ADs and say, hey, I'm getting phone calls from LSU. What you want to do? And they're hemming and hawing. They're going back to the booster club and everything like that. And then you get a big win over your rival, being down 16 points, started the fourth quarter and everything like that. And then what do the boosters do? Let's do it. Let's do it. And then it's getting closer and closer to D time, a.k.a. the end of the season, where coaches are hired and coaches bounce on other programs and everything like that. And they got to get something done. So the coaches and the agents use all that to their leverage, because I don't think he would have got this big of a contract if jobs like USC and LSU were out there. If it was just, I don't know, Texas A&M or Arkansas or something like that, they probably would have gave him a raise, but not $9.5 million. I don't think they would have gave him to him like that. So they use it as leverage, man, to use all the programs against each other. And a lot of these agents, they represent the same people, because I believe that Kirby Smart, Jimbo, and Mel Tucker all have the same agent. So he's just playing them all against each other.
Kirby drew the short straw, is what you're saying.
They're playing you're playing them against each other, man. It's a hell of a game.
Brian Staley on Facebook and 518-1410. Get to the calls on the other side. Brian Staley says Power 5 is already suffering with no Oklahoma or Texas in the Big 12 in the near future. In regards to what, Brian? I'm not trying to argue. I'm just curious the context of that. If you could provide a little bit more context. Lamar Shelley says, if Clemson has another down year, what happens to the ACC and the Power 5 as a whole? Man, Kev, a lot of people worried about the Power 5.
They'll be perfectly fine.
I think Clemson's going to be fine. Look, I heard a lot of people asking these same questions when Ohio State lost to Oregon. Remember how poor Ohio State looked to start the season, and that's with wins outside of the Clemson or the Oregon game. People were questioning, oh man, now you're starting to see what life without Urban Meyer is like. This is starting to look more like Ryan Day's team, and they had weirdos like Mikey calling him an interim coach and wanting him fired and all this. I think I need to see. I mean, we could talk about what another down year for Clemson would mean for Dabo, but let's not erase what Dabo did. I know not a lot of people care for Dabo, who he is as a person and all that stuff off the field, but let's be clear. Dabo Swinney has done what he has done at Clemson is unimaginable. It's really impressive. So one down year in over a decade, I'd say, okay, you know what? We can overlook that, because we would like that to be overlooked at Ohio State if it happens to Ryan Day, and it almost did happen. Luckily, they were able to right the ship. Your thoughts on that, Kev? People are already ready to, oh man, there's chaos at Clemson. I don't think there's chaos at Clemson. All three of their losses are against top 25 teams, if that means anything. But I do think they were expecting more out of DJ Uiagalelei, and I guess that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm not really panicking about Clemson. The ACC needs Clemson. Mm-hmm. I know he asked about the Power 5. I'm not worried about the Power 5, but the ACC, they're desperate for Clemson to mean something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to have somebody out of your conference that's in contention for the college football playoff. You don't want to be out here looking like Oregon over the last couple of years, basically out of the college football running by week 7. You know what I'm saying? You want to be in November with a team that's in it, that's talked about, that's in the top at least 7, if not in the top 4 already. So you got to have somebody out there. As far as, things being over for Clemson and Dabo and everything like that, I think he's earned a right to try to work himself out of this position. I can't say oh man, it's over for them, stick a fork in them, they're done and everything like that. I think he's won enough games and enough national championships to give him some runway to say all right, man, let me retool things. Maybe it's an adjustment to the coaching staff. Maybe it's an adjustment of how he does things and everything like that. So, I can remember when Ohio State played in the Alamo Bowl versus Oklahoma State, and I believe it was Teddy Ginn's freshman year. And I believe that was, it was his freshman year. So think about from his freshman year to his junior year at Ohio State, and they were playing in the national championship a couple years later. So, these things do happen. Peaks and valleys do happen. Teams aren't going to be in the national championship game every single year. Like, you do hit bumps in the road. You do have early departures. Like, you do have to think about it like this. Like, the quarterback, Sunshine, he would left after his junior year. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he was there for his senior year, don't you think they'd probably be a lot better than what they were this year? So I'm willing to give Dabo some slack here. Like, I'm not about to be like, oh, man, it's over for them. It's a wrap. It's curtains. They're nothing now. Like, I would like to see it happen before I'm willing to say they're done.
David Shaw throws in, just answer me this. If Michigan holds on to the lead like they should have against Michigan State, does he still get that raise? Talking about Mel Tucker, and I'm saying yes. I don't think beating Michigan is what gave him that raise, but I think it added to the resume for those to buy into who he was. Look at Michigan. They lost. I mean, that was a toss-up game, and yet here's Michigan still in the college football playoff conversation.
Ranked ahead of Michigan State.
What's that?
Ranked ahead of Michigan State.
But yeah, ranked ahead of Michigan. So for me, it's like, yes, I still think that. I think that helped. I think that did help with the, as far as the confidence is concerned in the front, and I should say the athletics department's, confidence in his ability to do what he's being asked to do. But yeah, I still think he would have got that raise one way or another. For one, his full body of work is what's most impressive, not just what he's done in recent weeks. And keep in mind, he's lost since that Michigan win in a game they should have won. So I still think he would have got that.
Check this out. Jimmy Sexton is the agent that we were talking about. So some of his clients, Mel Tucker, James Franklin, Jimbo Fisher, Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban, Steve Sarkisian. So all these schools and all these coaches, he's playing them against each other. You know what I'm saying? So when you have like a super agent like that, he's going to make sure you get the highest dollar. And you know what else he's doing? He's working out great contracts for his clients, because a lot of these dudes, when they end up getting fired, like allegedly Dan Mullen's going to get fired. Allegedly, that's the rumor that he's going to get fired. He's still going to get like a $10 million buyout. So that's something I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a sports agent for college football coaches, because Jimmy Sexton is the man.
Yes, if you could, it's kind of like Kirk Cousins' agent in the NFL.
Yes.
Those are the real MVPs.
Like, Dan Mullen's going to potentially get $10 million not to coach.
Holy moly. Last thing here before we head to the top of the hour, Lamar Shelley says that Florida State, Miami, USC, Texas, and others have fallen fast and they've fallen hard. That Ohio State and Alabama are the only consistent programs today. I disagree. Clemson, by the way, folks, just so you know, Clemson's 7-3. Dabo Swinney and Clemson are still 7-3. All three of their losses against top 25 teams. Not making excuses, but the program's not down. I know they're not ranked, and they have to live up to the expectations of being that. But like, if you go back, since 2010, if Clemson, let's just say they only win 2 of their next 3. And I still think they get to 10 wins on the year. I think they win 2 of their next 3, because I'm just being nice and saying they might slip up between now and then and win a bowl game. They haven't won less than 10 games since 2010. So Clemson and Alabama and Ohio State are the 3 most consistent programs. And I'll go one further. No offense, Buckeye fans, but Clemson and Alabama have been the 2 best programs since 2010. So I'm not crapping on Clemson yet. You get back-to-back seasons like this, then I think we could talk. But, when you look at the college football playoff era, the 2 most successful programs have been Clemson and Alabama, and Ohio State coming up right behind them. So it is what it is. Kev, hour 1 in the books. Hour 2, we'll kick the 4 o'clock hour off coming up here in 10 minutes. The Dayton Flyers, that's a program that's drowning right now. That's a program that back in 2020, we thought that the program was, they had set the tone that that's who they were going to be moving forward. And even if they dropped off a little bit, we wouldn't be dropping out of the top 25. 2020, number 3 team in the country, potentially a national championship contending team. And here we are a year and a half later, and you're losing back-to-back home games to UMass Lowell and Lipscomb. Last night, a 19-point blowout loss at home. You paid good money for that loss. That's not good. I'm seeing a lot of Flyer fans react in a lot of different ways. We'll talk about that with Sully coming up at 5:30, just over an hour and a half from now. But I want to find out your thoughts, Flyer fans. 518-1410. Is it time to panic, Flyer faithful? Let's hear from you. 518-1410. We'll talk about that next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
The soothing scent of Vicks Vapor Rub. It's only one of the most iconic smells ever. That cooling, comforting scent generations of families have come to trust to help them feel better. And now you trust to soothe your family. Pick up some Vicks Vapor Rub in the little blue jar and wrap yourself with the calm only Vicks Vapor Rub can bring. Vicks Vapor Rub, always there for you.
It's Black Friday now at JCPenney. Starting Friday, shop thousands of Black Friday deals across the store while they last. Our Yes Please diamonds are only $19.99 each. Bundle up the family in jackets under $25. Plus, update with cookware and cutlery, now $9.99 each after $10 mail-in rebate. These deals are yours for the gifting. Happy Black Friday, JCPenney. Offers valid on select items 11/19 through 11/21. Conditions and exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
Bags under your eyes? That's junk sleep. And Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Black Friday sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hey, I'm college football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Soft Water. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Soft Water is the home of the 7-year worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my third year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Soft Water. Glazier Water is better water.
Don't wait to put an end to junk sleep. Shop Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale and wake up a better you. Save up to $500 when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase up to a $499 value. Or shop Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America, and save up to $500 on adjustable mattress sets. Unjunk your sleep. Only at Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. See details at mattressfirm.com.
Life is already full of surprises, but your tuition shouldn't be one of them. While education costs rise in the U.S. every year, University of Phoenix is committed to protecting you from rising tuition costs with our tuition guarantee. We lock in your tuition so you can count on fixed, affordable tuition from the moment you enroll to the day you graduate from your program. Learn more at phoenix.edu.
In college football, Goodyear knows a new season means new possibilities, where every Saturday is an opportunity on the road to greatness. No matter if you're out there playing your hardest or cheering the loudest from the sidelines, tailgating in the parking lot, or your favorite spot to watch the game, Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So your wipers are streaking. It might be time for a new set. We've got a great deal to help you get the job done and be ready for the weather ahead. Right now, you can get a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2 Bosch Envision wiper blades. And we've got even more ways to shop. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
Germain Honda, Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0% financing on the 21 Passport, the 22 Pilot, and HRV, or 1.9% for 48 months on the 22 Odyssey. Lease a 22 HRV Sport for as little as $229 a month, or a CRV Hybrid EX for as little as $279 a month. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for all the details. We are located on Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda, Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
This ad for Hellsberg Diamonds has been specifically written for those who'd rather think about football than engagement rings. When free agency starts, your team wants to get the best players they can without spending too much. If your team is you and the players are engagement rings, then your best bet in free agency is shopping at Hellsberg Diamonds, where you know you'll get the highest quality diamonds at prices that keep you from going over the salary cap. Visit your local Hellsberg store and ask about our price match guarantee, or check us out at hellsberg.com.
The holidays are already here at Lowe's. Get pre-lit artificial trees starting at $99. Home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, valid 11/4 through 11/10.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Today's pros need today's tools, and nobody understands that better than the Home Depot. Our app makes it simpler to get supplies ordered and delivered. Our online project calculators cut guesswork and last-second supply runs. Job site delivery puts what you need where and when you need it. And rental puts the right equipment in your hands, but not your overhead. That's how today's pros get more done. New tech, new tools, old-fashioned hard work. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Do you know how much you're really paying for life insurance through work? I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for limited coverage. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. My clients are shocked to learn how expensive life insurance at work really is because of a rate that's driven up by unhealthy people. Why pay more when you don't have to? For over 35 years, SelectQuote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. I even found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. Don't wait. Workplace open enrollment is here. Let SelectQuote save you money and get you the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-449-8811. That's 1-800-449-8811. 1-800-449-8811. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policy and carrier ratings at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Price could vary by health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Looking for a career and not just a job? Then Dayton Progress is looking for you. Dayton Progress is the leading international manufacturer of tools and tooling components for the metal stamping industries and has immediate openings for their entry-level machinists. No prior experience is required, and Dayton Progress will train you, starting with the basics. They offer competitive wages starting at $15 per hour and up to $18 per hour with prior experience. New hires are eligible for merit increases after 90 days of employment. They also offer private health care, including vision and dental, free life insurance, a contributory 401k, promotions for
from within, company service recognition, and 100% tuition reimbursement to local state colleges. Dayton Progress is a great place to work and has been a Dayton landmark for over 70 years. Apply today by emailing your resume to jobs@DaytonProgress.com. That's jobs@DaytonProgress.com. Dayton Progress is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey parents, good news. Kids ages 5 to 11 are eligible for a COVID vaccine. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him up.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Hour 2 of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash is coming at you live on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We got Ohio State basketball coming up immediately following the show. In fact, we'll cut the show short to about 15 minutes. 5:45, we'll hand it off to Paul Keel, Skip Mossick, and the gang as they get you set for Ohio State basketball. 5:45, 6:30, the tip-off. Ohio State at Xavier coming up later on tonight. Talking Out Loud with Sully, an entire hour dedicated to Dayton Flyers basketball talk will be pushed back to 9 o'clock tonight, and then we'll also have a re-air of that show coming up tomorrow. Sully from Talking Out Loud will join us coming up at 5:30 next hour. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here this afternoon. Last night, the Dayton Flyers back in action. Now, Kev, you could defend me. You could back me up. I said the other day that when UD lost to UMass Lowell, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna harp on it. It is what it is. It's game 2 of the season. That's what these early games are supposed to be for, to kind of shake out some of the rust from the offseason a little bit. We watched Ohio State struggle against Niagara. We watched Ohio State struggle against Akron. We watched them struggle for quite a few games to start the season. They had, they beat Akron by 1 at the buzzer. And I'm like, man, Ohio State, you're the Ohio State University, and you're kind of swimming down in the murky stuff with these teams, and we're supposed to buy that you're They play Bowling Green, and they literally, blitzed them by 30. The game was done before halftime, and that was the Ohio State that we're accustomed to seeing. So I said, okay, let's let UD get a couple of games under their belt. They're going to get better each game, and we'll go from there. Well, the problem is, and I don't know what that barrier of games is that needs to be played before you're allowed to have an opinion on a team. But the bottom line is when you pad your schedule with these easy games and you pad them with these home games, you really shouldn't be dropping games early. When UD was trailing UIC, the Flames at halftime, sure, I might have had a little chuckle just because of my Wright State Horizon League affiliation and all that fun stuff. But they took care of business, and that's where the home court kicked in. Because UD didn't play well against UIC, but they had that huge run to close out the game. Everyone talked about how electric UD Arena was. That was the first regular season game, at UD Arena since COVID just ruined everyone's lives back in early 2020. But the home crowd stepped up, and that's why you schedule these home games, just because that home crowd gives you, I think it gives UD a 6-point advantage every game. Every home game, that crowd gives them at least a 6-point advantage. Most people say 3, I say 2. And by the way, Sean, really? Why no UC Hoops content? Are you kidding? I can't win with you people. Kev, I can't win with these people. Why no UC Hoops content? Really?
Now, when people talk about when you bash the hometown, like bashing the Bengals or the Reds and everything like that, or you talk about the hometown, we actually do have a hometown college basketball team. We have actually 2 of them. 2. So, you're talking about the hometown team right now. Maybe we'll talk some UC Hoops a little bit later on.
No, we won't. Just for that, I'm not. I'm assuming Sean's joking a little bit, but you know what? UD keeps this up. Might go ahead and move on. He says on his question, Cincinnati, everything else. We'll get into that. Hey, let's talk Xavier. Well, I'll talk Xavier then.
Yeah,
no, we'll get into that. Sean, I get it, but just relax. UD just lost a stinker last night. It's the talk of the town right now, and if it's not, I'm going to make it the talk of the town because everyone loves to beat up on that other team that no one loves to give credit for in town, and I want to make sure it's equal across the board, right? UD's 1-2 to start. Big whoop. Okay, you've lost a couple early. It's not that you lost; it's who you lost to. I said it earlier to kick off the show. I said, if you want to schedule like the big boys, you want to recruit like the big boys, you want to spend money like the big boys, you got to start producing like the big boys. Because if you don't, that's not a good look. It's not a good look for a team that has everything imaginable to be one of the top teams in the country, at the very least, a top 25 team in the country. And we're sitting here talking about losses to UMass Lowell and Lipscomb. I mean, it's unbelievably bad. And last night, it wasn't just a loss. It was a 19-point blowout. And forget the results. It's the game within the game. If you watch the game, I have never seen a team look so unorganized, untalented, and the talent's there individually. But as a team, they look like they have no clue what the heck they're doing. I mean, Anthony Grant eats timeouts like we're all going to be eating Thanksgiving food coming up here in a week. I mean, I've never seen a guy not use timeouts. Like, the guy is not a very good in-game coach. He's not, and I keep saying, oh, he's a great recruiter. Is he? Because I keep hearing about this young roster, this young, inexperienced roster. This looks like a roster that you get when you take over a program. And to be honest with you, on paper, it looks okay. But they don't look a whole hell of a lot better than that first-year team that Anthony Grant had when he took over for Archie Miller. You can't be a good recruiter when you don't manage a roster well. And he has not managed this roster well. It should not come to a point where you have so many inexperienced players playing so many key positions. Now, I get it in Anthony Grant's defense and this coaching staff's defense, the transfer portal players bolting left and right. I get all of that. I get that that's it's tough for programs like UD because you get a player that no one else is looking at. They become stars, and then right away they get plucked. But who has UD really lost due to that, though? Who? Because I've seen them get players that bigger schools don't want, and then we're expecting, Elijah Weaver from USC. This kid's going to be good. He's not that good. At least he hasn't been yet. It's been all right. It's been okay. But he's supposed to be great, right? Like, we're UD. We're getting these Power 5 players are coming from USC. How about Chimanga? The Nebraska kid, remember him? One of the biggest, softest 6'10" kids I've ever seen in my life. I could battle down low with him, probably. Not really, but you see my point. So with all of the, you get the Johnson kid from Florida that came in. That was a disaster. That never worked out. Like, the roster management for this team, guys, I'm not beating up on UD because I'm anti-UD. Like, these are things that you should all be saying too. And if you're not saying it, I don't know what you're watching. The roster management has been horrible. All I keep hearing is how young this roster is. Well, whose fault is that? People bashed Archie Miller on his way out for leaving Anthony Grant with nothing. Oh, Anthony Grant, he took over a mess. This roster is more of a mess 5 years into his run than it was when he took over. Oh, he's a great recruiter. He's okay. I don't think he's a great recruiter. Great recruiters don't let the roster management get this poor. You should not be having to rely on so many young players at key positions, especially coming off of a year last year that was as poor as it was. That's what's frustrating for me on the outside looking in. What are you on the inside seeing? I'm not going to pretend to be this guy that I'm a diehard UD fan. I'm not anti-UD like many of you think I am, but I'm also not going to, just be shaking my pom-poms every show either, telling you that 1-2 with back-to-back losses against teams ranked in the 200s in the KenPom rankings. I'm not going to tell you that that's good. That's very poor, especially for a program and a fan base that belittles me on a regular basis about the whole Wright State thing. I'm only bringing them up because I want to set this bar here. I was told that Wright State's so beneath them. Well, Wright State's ranked well ahead of Lipscomb. They're ranked well ahead against UMass Lowell. And based on what I've seen the last two games, it now makes sense why the athletic director, Neil Sullivan, stays as far the hell away from Wright State as possible. I get it. It makes sense. That's why you put Lipscomb and UMass Lowell on there, because you have a better chance against them than a team that's actually ranked higher than those teams. I get it. It makes a lot of sense. But Flyer fans, you should be just as angry as me and everybody else that's criticizing this team, because the only reason we're criticizing the program is because we shouldn't be talking about losses to these teams. You just were number 3 in the country not even a year and a half ago. 2 seasons ago, but let's not forget, a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, we were talking about a team that was good enough to win a national championship. Should this program out of the A-10 be national championship contenders every year? No. But at the very end, at the end of the day, we should be talking about an at-large team every single year. Sully, I was following him on Twitter. He was talking about, the season's over before it started. 3 games in, the season's done. 3 games in, the at-large bids are out the window. Now, the only thing that they have to do is do what, Wright State has to do. The team that's so far beneath them, but yet they both have the path to the NCAA tournament is the same. The Dayton Flyers and the team that's so far beneath them, the Wright State Raiders, they both have to win their conference tournament to get there. And guess what? UD hasn't won a conference tournament, a championship in over 20 years. So I'm not beating up on the Flyers because I'm a hater. You could argue in years past when I've taken shots at them when they were number 3 in the country and I'm still finding things to criticize. I get it. You can rip me all you want, but don't rip me this year. I'm not going to put up with it. I will not put up with any of you people criticizing me for the criticism I have of your team who tells everybody how great they are. You cannot say that you have these high standards of scheduling because you view yourself as an at-large top team in the country every year, and then we watch what we did last night. And you could have got away with it had you put away UMass Lowell the other night. But you followed up that UMass Lowell, who's ranked 256 in KenPom, by getting blown out by 19 against the 230 team in Lipscomb. That's unacceptable. And you haven't even gotten to the tough teams yet. This was supposed to be this was supposed to be the cupcakes. You're supposed to have diabetes after all the cupcakes you eat to start the season. Flyer fans should have diabetes with all the cupcakes you've had to start this season. It's unacceptable. It's not okay. And at the end of the day, it's a situation where I don't know where they go from here. But you take the Obi Toppin year out. Not a good thing. It's not a good thing for Anthony Grant. I said this before. Anthony Grant is at Orgeron. No one gives Ed Orgeron credit for that national championship he had that year. They always say, oh, Joe Burrow won him that. That's kind of where I'm at with Anthony Grant. Anthony Grant is nothing without Obi Toppin. He's, I think, 9 games above 500. You take out that 2020, that magical season, that Cinderella regular season, he's 9 games above 500. Not bad, not terrible, but I think even you big diehard Flyer fans will tell me the same thing, that that's not what you aspire to be. Don't tell me about this great recruiter that he is. Great recruiters don't let teams overlap or don't let the rosters fall this poor as far as experience. How do you have this many players that only have a few years of experience, if that? It's not okay. And I would be saying the same thing about my team or anyone else's team. This isn't an anti-UD segment. This is a reality segment. Kev, if you need to intervene here to set the record, to bring some rational conversation here, fine. But I think I haven't said anything that's not true.
For me, it's 2 things. One, it's early in the season, and that's where people got to hang their hat on. They got to hope that things get better. You got to hope that coach figures some things out. But something that stands out to me, because you still got George Mason, who's going to be good this year, and St. Bonaventure, who's going to be real good this year. So for me, as I'm looking at the games and I'm looking at things and stats and stuff of that nature, it's 2021. When you score 64 points, 58 points, and 59 points, that's not good enough in 2021, man. You need to be at least at 75 points a game. And when you're shooting 26% from 3-point line, that's not going to get it done. So the players, I know you have this thing, like the coaching, it really matters. And I know we talked about this before, that basketball coaches have more to do and everything like that. And for me, I think the players need to start stepping up. When you have Weaver shooting 27% from 3, you got another guy shooting 14% from 3. Y'all need to get in the gym. You need to get in the gym. You need to get in the gym and put some shots up, because apparently y'all not hitting your shots. 26% from 3 as a team is not going to cut it. 60 points a game is not going to cut it. This is not 1993. You're not going to win with just playing lockdown defense and everything like that, because the way people shoot the ball nowadays at every level of basketball, they're hitting 70 points a game easily. So you need to at least be scoring 70 points a game. So from my aspect, the players need to get in the gym and get more shots up, because the way they're shooting the ball, that's not going to get it done at all. Defensively, kind of, but to be shooting 26% from 3 with the accolades that a lot of these guys had coming into UD and everything like that, that's not going to cut it. And you know who else is not going to accept it? The fan bases are going to accept it. They'll be there because they're loyal to the team and everything like that. But at some point, they'll turn their back on you. They'll still be coming to the game, but they'll start to question you. It'll be more than just Justin Kenner questioning what's going on inside the program. It'll be all those fans that pay a lot of money to go down to UD Arena for all those games. So the players really got to step up their game. They really got to start hitting these open shots, because these aren't like contested shots. These aren't Dame Lillard and Steph Curry contested threes. A lot of these shots are wide open, and they're brick housing it. So 26% from three as a team, not going to cut it. You need to get in the gym and work on your shot.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not going to discredit what Anthony Grant did. Look, he was the National Coach of the Year in 2020. I'm being a little harsh, but at the same time, it was very easy to coach a team that was obliterating every single opponent that they faced. However, there was only 2 games that year that people questioned Anthony Grant and his coaching ability, and they lost both of them. I thought it was strange that Obi Toppin only touched the ball once in that overtime loss against Kansas. That's strange to me. And then you losing an overtime game against Colorado that year in Chicago. So, you lost, close games. Like, coaching matters. And he didn't have to do a lot of coaching technically. And what I mean by that is coaching is more than just the X's and O's within the game. It's preparing a team. Anthony Grant got that team to buy in, built Obi Toppin. I'm not going to discredit anything from that regards, but at the same time, I gave credit to Ed Orgeron for that year with LSU. And LSU, people argue that's one of the best, if not the best, offensive college football team of all time. When you look back with Joe Burrow and you look at the weapons that he had, I compare that to this situation here, Kev, where when you take away that Joe Burrow LSU national championship year and you take away the Obi Toppin UD, magical regular season run, both coaches look very pedestrian at that point. And I don't think I'm that far off in comparing the two. I think that Anthony Grant's the Ed Orgeron of college basketball, where they had that one magical season with one great player. And then outside of that, everything is very pedestrian. It's very questionable. And it's not okay, especially with the success that Archie Miller had. And by the way, in Anthony Grant's defense, Archie had like a 29-point, 30-point loss at home against a really bad team in his first year there too. But he won 20 games that year, all that fun stuff. Look, I'll take the Archie Miller run anytime over what I'm seeing here. You get this excuse. It's a built-in excuse if this is your first year taking over a program. But Kevin, am I wrong in saying that this roster looks like a roster that you take over a program with? All your seniors are gone, no juniors. It's a lot of freshmen and sophomores. That's not very good roster management. And that's for any coach out there. If Ohio State was doing this, I just don't get how this is your number 5 and you're having all these question marks about, about experience on the, especially for a team last year that was not very good either. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about him being a great recruiter, and that may be true, and getting guys to come out of high school and everything like that. But also in today's age, recruiting goes into the transfer portal as well. So if you're going to be getting guys that go into the transfer portal, you're going to need guys that are committed to the team as opposed to, themselves and things like that. I don't know the ins and outs of the team. I'm not going to sit here and say the guys on the team are out for self or anything like that. But if that is the case, if I want to emphasize, if that is the case, then that needs to be a different recruiting approach. You need to have guys that are bought into the team concept of winning as opposed to trying to, I'm going to leave from the Pac-12 and I'm going to go to the A-10 and I averaged 8 points at the Pac-12. I'm going to show up here in the A-10 and average 18 and get my numbers and get to the league. Like if I want to make sure I'm saying if that is the case, then Coach Grant needs to retool things and take a look about how he's recruiting guys in the transfer portal, because the portal isn't going anywhere. The portal is going to be here for a long time. So if that's going to be the situation, if that's what he's going to be doing, getting guys from the portal, maybe you need to get some different guys that are definitely bought in to Flyer basketball.
All right, 518-1410. I know we have Brian and a couple other guys on hold. We're going to step away. I want to fill up the phone lines. Flyer fans, I know I'm sounding a little harsh, but I'm questioning everything I've said. Just counter it and tell me why I'm wrong. What have I said that's wrong? I'm just it is very pedestrian for Anthony Grant. Take out the Obi Toppin year. Now you're sitting there saying you can't take that year out. Well, I'm not calling for anyone's job, but Ed O just lost his job and he just won a national championship 2 years ago in college football. It's a very similar overlap there. Very good teams, one great season. Take out the great season for both, and it's very pedestrian. And I don't think Dayton Flyers fans look at this program as being pedestrian. You should have just as high of expectations for the program as I do. And for a program that spends what they do, that they invest in the program and what they do, All right. I mean, the fan base is under 13,000 screaming fans fill up an arena to watch a team lose to Lipscomb and UMass Lowell and edge out a 10-point win over a crappy Horizon League team. I'm sorry. And you're number 5 for a coach that was just National Coach of the Year 2 years ago. I'm not going to take that away from him. But at the same time, just because you won a National Coach of the Year in 2020 doesn't mean that you basically just don't get any blame for any problems that you have moving forward. 518-1410. I'm real curious. Is it time to panic? There's a lot of time left in this season. The at-large bid's out the window already, 3 games in, that's for sure. But at the same time, what else are you playing for at this point other than getting better? Yes, but here's what they have coming up. You have Austin Peay coming up on Saturday. Then you have Miami, not of Ohio, the Hurricanes. I'd fear either one at this point. Alabama State, Northern Illinois. Now, these all sound like buffer games, but with what we've just seen, how can you sit there and feel comfortable about these Alabama State, Northern Illinois games and then feel good about the SMU games and, of course, Miami, Hurricane, Virginia Tech, Ole Miss? This is a great non-conference schedule, but the games, if you were going to lose games, the games that you should have lost haven't even come up yet. You should have complemented these good games coming up if you lose those with these buffer games, and you're already off to a bad 1-2 start. And it starts with coaching. 518-1410. I'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear, sunny, and windy, a high near 48. Tonight will be mostly clear, a low around 28. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 42. I'm Pete Spyback for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Lowe's Provember event ends November 24th, but there's still time to become a Pro Loyalty member and get a welcome kit via mail. Lowe's, the new home for pros, U.S. only.
You love Zoom for video meetings? Now, choose Zoom to power your phone communications too. Zoom Phone works seamlessly within the Zoom app as your business phone system. Zoom Phone's secure HD audio and enterprise-grade reliability keep you connected to your teams and your customers. And it's easy to use on mobile, desktop, or desk phone. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Zoom, how the world connects.
It's Black Friday now at JCPenney. Starting Friday, shop thousands of Black Friday deals across the store while they last. Our Yes Please diamonds are only $19.99 each. Bundle up the family in jackets under $25. Plus, update with cookware and cutlery, now $9.99 each after $10 mail-in rebate. These deals are yours for the gifting. Happy Black Friday, JCPenney. Offers valid on select items 11/19 through 11/21. Conditions and exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Napa know-how.
Right now, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic motor oil is only $19.99. It's the hottest deal of the year for the coldest time of the year. So if you're in your car right now, there's no need to turn on the heat. I'm about to read this sizzler again. That's Napa full synthetic for a hot $19.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating locations does not include taxes and fees. Advertised sale price not available in some states. Offer ends 12/31/21.
Does your child play video games with loot boxes or in-game rewards? If so, it's important to know when video games can turn into gambling. Learn the signs at changethegameohio.org. Teens are experiencing gambling in more ways due to increasing gaming features that mimic gambling, such as loot boxes, gaming skins, and virtual currency. Help prevent youth gambling at changethegameohio.org. This message is brought to you by Ohio for Responsible Gambling.
Hey team, we landed the contract!
Yes! Ohio's web design studio just landed the gig of a lifetime.
It starts next week.
Their staff needs to double before the dream deal becomes a nightmare.
We need front end, back end, a project manager.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0% financing on the 21 Passport, the 22 Pilot, and HRV, or 1.9% for 48 months on the 22 Odyssey. Lease a 22 HRV Sport for as little as $229 a month, or a CRV Hybrid EX for as little as $279 a month. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for all the details. We are located on Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
See Columbus Equipment Company, 7570 New Carlisle Pike in Dayton.
What's all the buzz about nasal irrigation and navage? Here's the science. Airborne germs invade through your nose. When your nose gets clogged, it's less effective and germs multiply. Eventually, your immune system can get overwhelmed and you get sick. Navage pulls out the bad stuff so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier. At Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, Bed Bath, and Walmart. Or go to Navage.com for a free gift with purchase. Navage, Navage.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
The holidays are already here at Lowe's. Get pre-lit artificial trees starting at $99. Home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, valid 11/4 through 11/10.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Flyers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Ryan Sports Medicine, OGW Energy Resources, and Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. I'm a firm believer in being a fan doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to be critical of your team. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, and I believe I am very critical of that team. I mean, you might think I'm a homer, still fine. I'm not saying homer takes don't pop their way in here and there, but I also believe that I am very critical of that team. I'm very critical of a lot of my teams. In fact, 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago, whatever it was, Kev, Wright State played Purdue. Look, I didn't expect Wright State to beat Purdue, but I thought that their performance was absolutely embarrassing, to be quite honest with you. You were a 16-point dog against Purdue, and you were down by 30 at halftime. I don't care how good Purdue is, by the way. You should not be down. Like, it was little things, too. Like, I get it. They're taller. Okay, I don't care about that. They're taller. Who cares? I saw, like, lazy passes, Kev. I saw, like, guys who, when they were about to receive the pass, they didn't, like, block off or seal off defenders. Like, they just made it so easy for Purdue to just have their way at the defensive end. Did you watch any of that game? Because I turned it off. It was hard to watch. It was ugly. And I was waiting to get ripped by Flyer fans for all the smack that I talk. And I was like, listen, anything you say, I'm going to agree with you. I love Wright State. They know it. Look, I'm wearing my Wright State stuff today. But that performance against Purdue was embarrassing. I'm not expecting Wright State to be up there with them, but at the same time, you should not be getting blown out the way that they did. The only winning thing, if you want to call it, is that they held them under 100. I mean, it was an embarrassing performance. It was not good.
By the time I got home, it was already out of hand, so I didn't watch any at all. And the good part about this, the players know. They know. Like, hold on. Okay, they might be better than us. They're from the Big Ten. They got a whole bunch of 7-footers. Our tallest guy is 6'9", blah, 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 blah. But they're not that much better than us. And I'm sure Coach had a nice couple days of practice. You know what? Sometimes I think coaches like this because I'm a firm believer that most coaches like to put their players through hell during practice. And now Coach had a reason to do it. Before, we're Wright State, we're the number one in the horizon. Now, come on, Coach. All right, you guys, we'll take a light on you guys. After a beat down like that, players can't say nothing. They got to do exactly what Coach says. I want you to run, and after that, run some more. After that, shoot some free throws. Go run some more. They can't say nothing after a beat down like that, and I think the team will be better for it.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't expect them to win. Losing's one thing, but I just thought that there's some things that they did some things against a very, very good team that you can't even do against bad teams and win.
Right.
And just simple lazy. I mean, it was just lazy passes. They weren't running to the ball. They weren't sealing off defenders. And they weren't boxing out. Look, the one thing is this. You're playing someone that has 4 guys 6'10" or taller, and you only have 1 guy at 6'9", and no one's boxing out half the dang time. Like, that's the one thing that really irritates me in basketball, Kev, is we talk a lot of times about teams, they're the bigger team. Well, then that smaller team better be boxing out, because I'd love to see half the rebounds we see and get. Sorry, I just read something. We'll stay here. 518-1410. Let's step away for a few minutes. I got to hit reset on this. We'll be back in just a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
If you're like most people, you just don't have time to shop around for a used car. You need Drive One Car and Truck in Springfield. DriveOneCarAndTruck.com is an interactive website that allows you to browse through inventory, get directions, and you can even see how the car's price matches up to the market. And if you have questions, you can just hit the text button and they'll text you right back with all the info you need to make a decision. Set up a time to test drive and hit the application tab and apply for a loan online in minutes. They make it easy. Don't buy one till you've been to Drive One. Drive One Car and Truck in Springfield.
Your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is also the home for value. Frickers! Frickers' everyday values begin on Monday with boneless frickin' chicken wings. Tuesday offers traditional frickin' chicken wings. On Wednesday, enjoy a steak dinner. And on Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Kids eat free every day. And your favorite events are on TVs everywhere. The home for everyday values is the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers!
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
From city streets to back roads. From road warrior to carpooler. There are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of DieHard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on DieHard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
Looking for a career and not just a job? Then Dayton Progress is looking for you. Dayton Progress is the leading international manufacturer of tools and tooling components for the metal stamping industries and has immediate openings for their entry-level machinists. No prior experience is required, and Dayton Progress will train you, starting with the basics. They offer competitive wages starting at $15 per hour and up to $18 per hour with prior experience. New hires are eligible for merit increases after 90 days of employment. They also offer private health care, including vision and dental, free life insurance, a contributory 401k, promotions from within, company service recognition, and 100% tuition reimbursement to local state colleges. Dayton Progress is a great place to work and has been a Dayton landmark for over 70 years. Apply today by emailing your resume to jobs@DaytonProgress.com. That's jobs@DaytonProgress.com. Dayton Progress is an equal opportunity employer.
Save on everything during Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2021. We carry a great selection of automotive products in stock. Right now, all TowSmart accessories are 11% off. Save on a 10-pack ratchet strap and bungee cord set from Smart Straps. Only $21.99 after 11% rebate. Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2021 is good through Wednesday, November 24th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
My son is not some statistic.
My daughter's not a headline. My girl, she's not someone's agenda.
What she is irreplaceable. COVID hospitalizations of young people have
Tripled since the start of summer. So I talked to my daughter's doctor about COVID vaccines.
She said they're highly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, even from the Delta variant.
We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson and Xenia has gifts for everyone on your list this year. November 24th, 26th, and 27th. Take 20% off licensed products, 10% off aftermarket non-Harley-Davidson parts, and have those incredible gifts wrapped and ready to go with free gift wrapping. Get those names checked off your list and give them what they really want this year, the gift of Harley-Davidson. Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson, 1213 Xenia Avenue in Xenia. Online at buckmansdnd.com.
Bags under your eyes? That's junk sleep. And Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Black Friday sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
All right. We got that all ironed out. Welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you live on 1410 ESPN Radio. Ohio State, Xavier tonight. Ohio State playing at Xavier, Kev. How about that?
Nice.
Ohio State not afraid to go play on the road in state. How about that?
But like what?
Cincinnati in years past.
Yeah.
What,
like a 2-hour drive from Columbus? If that.
It's a good one, though. We have it tonight on 1410 ESPN Radio. 5:45, the pregame coverage begins. And then at 6:30, the tip-off, Ohio State Xavier tonight, 1410 Wing AM. Reaction to the Dayton Flyers' recent struggles. Look, it sounds like I'm piling it on. I'm basing it all off social media reaction, and I don't think I'm saying anything that's that far off. I think that you can't have high expectations for a program and then have low I guess, pushback when the team's struggling. And then they're struggling, and then there's losing to Lipscomb and UMass Lowell and losing to Lipscomb at home by 19. That's just bad business, by the way, because you're spending money. I don't know what the dollar is that you pay these teams to come into the arena, but it's one thing to buy a padded schedule, and that's what they do. You buy a padded schedule. You pay these teams to come in so you can get your wins tallied up so that even if you don't make the tournament, if you only make the NIT, you could at least say, well, we had a 20-win season. It's going to be tough to do when you're not beating the Lipscombs and the UMass Lowells or Lows or Knowles or whatever the hell they are. Well, I don't even know. UMass Lowell? What?
I have no idea.
518-1410. Let's go to Kev. Who we have up?
We have Irish Brian.
Irish Brian, how are you, sir?
Hey, guys. Love the show. Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
I want to take up that
and
argument.
Let me not be rude, Brian. I should have said thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Sorry about that. And you waited on hold for a while, so thanks for that as well. I'm sorry, man. Thanks for holding, and welcome on the show, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I want to take up that Cincinnati Irish argument.
Going back to the football conversation, okay?
Yes, sir. I understand ESPN, from what I understand, has 3 reasons why Notre Dame's still in it, and the third one's going to ruffle Kevin's feathers and along with some other Bearcat people. The first reason, ESPN is assuming, like a lot of people, that 3 of the 5 teams ahead of Notre Dame, the 2 Michigan schools, Alabama, Oregon, and possibly the Bearcats, at least 3 of those 5 they're assuming are going to lose before it's all said and done. So that's the first reason why they're arguing that the Irish could get in. The second one you got to look at, I don't think any of the other schools can say this. Notre Dame has 5 times opponent they have beaten has gone on to knock out a top 10 team this year. I don't think any other school can say that.
Repeat that for me.
What's that?
Can you repeat that for me? I'm not following.
5 times this year, a team that Notre Dame has beaten has turned around and beat a top 10 team.
Okay, so the opponent that they beat, they went on and beat somebody else big time. Got it.
Yeah, a top 10 team.
Got it.
I don't think anyone else in the top 10 can say that. The third reason, and this is what's going to get to Kevin and others, throughout the season, teams either get better, they get worse, or they stay the same. There's a growing number, and I think Kirk Herbstreit kind of hinted at this, and Joe Klatt, that feel, wow, Cincinnati's kind of stayed the course. They haven't really gotten better or gotten worse. Teams like Notre Dame, you could argue, have gotten better. And I am one of those that would say 7 or 8 teams in that top 10 right now, if they were to play Cincinnati this weekend, should be favored to beat Cincinnati. Now, that being said, Cincinnati did beat Notre Dame, and as much as it hurts me to say it, if there's only one spot open, I feel the Bearcats should get it over Notre Dame. But I can at least say now I can understand, without my Homer side taking over, the argument for Notre Dame. It's better than what it was a few weeks ago.
No, and Brian, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. Him talking earlier, of course, about the college football playoff. We brought up that you look at some of these playoff predictors for the college football playoff, that Notre Dame has a higher % chance of making the playoff than Ohio State at this point, which we found kind of interesting. We'll get back into the college football playoff conversation coming up here in a moment, but I did find that interesting. 518-1410. Kev, let's go to Mikey.
Yes, sir.
Mikey, what's up, man?
Hello, guys. Well, before I get into the UD, talk that's, that they're through for the season, did I hear you correctly? Did you say that Sully texted you or tweeted that the season was over?
I mean, the at-large opportunity's over.
Well, okay. Did Sully ever play basketball?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm not sure what that matters.
Well, it does matter. Did he go to UD?
He did go to UD. Yes, he did. And
Okay, but he never played basketball.
Would that change your tone?
Well, but who appointed him a UD basketball expert then?
So people are only experts if they tell you what you want to hear? Are you the
No. People are experts if they know what they're talking about.
I think
And when he makes a ridiculous statement that the way I heard you say it, that the season was over. I didn't hear you say at large. But even if, let's just go with at large. It's too early in the season to tell that because, I mean, I remember back in the 67-68 season, at one point Dayton was 7-9, and then they won their next 14 games, including the 4 in the NIT tournament, to be NIT champions. So you cannot write a team off just simply because they're struggling early in the season. These guys are young. They may gel in the middle of the season and may very well wind up winning 17 or 18 games and going to a NIT tournament. The NIT tournament. Who knows?
You could win the national championship.
Well, you never know. George Mason made it to the Final Four one year, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
But let's look at where UD and Wright State are right now. Okay, now both have losing records right now.
Yes.
Dayton's only one win. Their only win has been over a Division I opponent. Wright State's only win has been over a Division II opponent.
I'm going to cut you off right there. I'm not impressed with Wright State's win over a Division II team, but I think Flyer fans have lost all credibility to rip anything Wright State has done with the way your season has started, sir.
Well, who is this Justin?
This is Justin.
Oh, your voice sounded different. You got laryngitis?
Yeah, I don't know what I have. It's not COVID. I do know that much.
Well, anyway, of course, anybody can criticize anybody's team, but you made fun of UMass.
Said something you didn't agree with, so maybe I should say you're not credible. Did you play basketball?
You made fun of, well, but I don't have my own radio show, so I mean, and you invite callers to call in for their opinions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you made fun of UMass Lowell, their name, but who did Wright State beat? Erie Canal?
Like Erie, D2. It's a stupid game. They shouldn't have played that team, but you know what? It doesn't matter. So that's what makes you sleep at night. Your team sucks this year, and Wright State playing a D2 team helps you sleep at night.
But here's how I look at it. No matter what kind of season UD has this year, and this is very important. And by the way, Justin, I love when you say you don't hate UD basketball. Justin, you have nothing but utter contempt for UD basketball, and UD basketball fans.
It's not true.
It is true.
I have disdain for people who say foolish things, which is the conversation we're having right now.
It's not what you say, Justin. It's how you say it. It's how you say it. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. It's always this little, they don't play, UD doesn't play Wright State. UD doesn't have to play Wright State. UD doesn't even play Ohio State.
I don't blame them. You lose to UMass Lowell and Lipscomb. I wouldn't play Wright State either. Mikey, I think that a couple more.
Do you think? Let me ask you something, Justin. Do you think the year in 2020, the year that UD made that great run, do you think Wright State would have had a chance against UD that year?
Anything's possible. You just said that earlier. Did you say that foolish thing a little bit ago? That a team that lost to UMass Lowell and Lipscomb, that they can go on to win a national championship, and you're going to count
I
that
said,
tape.
well, now see there again,
kind of silly.
You're misquoting me. I said it's possible they may put it all together. They may put it all together.
They may have. Wright State may have beat them that year. Who knows?
I doubt that very seriously. I think listen, that year, if they played 3 games, at Wright State, at UD, and on a neutral court, Dayton would have won all 3 games.
Sure, possibly, yeah. You say so.
So, Mikey,
more than possibly,
It's debatable.
Mikey, I got a question for you. What does how UD is playing basketball have anything to do with Wright State? Aren't we talking about?
Because you guys are always bringing up UD and Wright State and UD. It's always these little knocks because UD will not play Wright State. And to me, I could care less.
When did I say that?
Huh?
When did I say that in this specific conversation?
I'm talking about in general. It's always this, well, they're only so many miles apart, but yet Ohio State will go down to Columbus, or not Columbus, but Cincinnati to play Xavier. It's like, it's this obsession with the fact that UD and Wright State do not play. And frankly, there's nothing in it for UD to play Wright State. Look, when you have two teams, wait a minute. When you have two teams and you want a rivalry between these two teams, that's exactly what you want. When you want a rivalry between two teams, both teams have got to bring something to the table. We know UD would bring something to the table because of their history and everything else. Wright State would bring nothing to the table. They have no national reputation in basketball.
Again, what does that have to do with how UD is playing? What does Wright State have?
It doesn't have anything to do with it, but you guys are all...
No, that's not true. That's not true. I didn't say...
I've never heard
I didn't
Justin,
say...
wait a minute,
No,
Kevin.
you're talking to Kevin. You're talking to Kevin.
I've never heard Justin
I'm Kevin. He's Justin. We're two totally different people.
I've never heard Justin say, "Oh, they should play one another."
Well, you're talking to me right now. You're not talking to Justin. You're talking.
I know I'm talking to you, but you've never disagreed with him. Have you ever told him that now it's up to UD whether they play or not? Have you ever told him, no, I don't see it's a big deal that they play each other?
I think it is a big deal that they don't play each other. I do think they should play each other.
Okay, well, then you just – well, then why are you questioning me then?
Because it's our show.
You just got saying, have you ever heard me say it? Now you turn around and said that they should.
But no, that wasn't my question. You keep on trying to bring it back to the Wright State UD thing. My question is, what does how UD is currently playing have anything to do with Wright State?
Because he compared what UD is doing right now to Wright State earlier in your show.
It has absolutely
nothing.
That's right.
And by the way, whenever you talk about UD basketball, it always invariably is brought up that they never play one another. And you know, as I said before, I could care less if they play each other. Fine. If they don't play each other,
you could care less. But you're the only one that calls in literally in tears every time, crying about it. I mean, you can't say it clearly triggers you.
Wright State has absolutely nothing to do.
Starts out 1-2 with
Justin, you are obsessed. You are obsessed with this UD Wright State matchup.
Somehow Wright State being mentioned.
Justin, you are obsessed. You are obsessed with this UD Wright State matchup. You are obsessed with this UD Wright State matchup.
And when it happens, I'll shut up about it. But until then, Mikey, sorry.
No,
really, that's not what this topic was about. You made it about that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, Wright State has absolutely nothing to do with UD only averaging 60 points a game. Wright State has nothing to do with UD shooting 26% from three-point land. They have nothing to do with that.
You guys are never going to mention you guys are never when you talk about Wright State. You're never going to talk about the matchup and the potential matchup.
Wright State. UD has nothing to do with Wright State getting blown out by Purdue.
UD and Wright State all the time. Justin just brought up Wright State barely. He never did mention the fact that Wright State lost to Marshall when he was criticizing UD for losing to UMass Lowell.
And guess what? UD has absolutely nothing to do with Wright State losing to Purdue or Marshall. I don't understand how you have to big up your team and down another team. Like, we can just talk about the actual team that we're talking about. We're talking about UD's current performance through these first 3 games of the season. Do you think UD's current? Okay, so let's talk about that instead of talking about, well, Wright State sucks too. Like, they have nothing to do with this. They have nothing to do with this. So let's talk about the actual team that we're talking about. We're talking about UD.
We're talking. That's why they can't even draw fans at their own arena.
You're doing exactly what we just talked about. We're not talking about Wright State. You, for some strange reason, you continually bring it up Wright State and how quote unquote bad they are.
Wright State draws 2,000 or 3,000 fans at the Nutter Center.
What does that have to do with how UD is playing basketball?
It's got everything to do with
it. Has nothing to do with how they're playing basketball. What Wright State has going on at the Nutter Center has nothing to do with
it. Has everything in the world to do with it, because the comparisons will always be made, even in a subtle way, by you guys. Always.
Apparently by you, because you're the one bringing it up. I keep trying to change the subject. I keep trying to ask you the problem with UD basketball, and you keep bringing it to Wright State.
Justin just got in a dig about how Ohio State's traveling all the way to Cincinnati to play Xavier, and some teams only a couple miles away won't play each other. He just got through getting in a dig. So you guys are the ones that brought it up
at the end. I never.
You said that. That's your own insecurity.
No.
That's your own insecurity.
No.
Ohio State is going down to Cincinnati to play.
And by the way, Justin, you're on record for saying that openly before, even when Schlemmer was there. we got into this about UD and Wright State. And let me tell you,
that's not really big of a hot take. The two local schools should play each other. I don't think that's a hot take. That's just common sense. And that's really not what this day was supposed to be about.
But there has to be something in it for UD, and there's nothing in it for UD. Let's say they played each other.
I don't know what's in it for Wright State at this point.
There's plenty. They're playing a nationally known team and everything with a national reputation. There's plenty in it for Wright State. But let's say they play each other a home series. Let's say they play each other. Let's say the first year was at UD. Let's say the first year was at UD. Okay, I guarantee you it would be 13,500 fans there, and maybe if they would be lucky, if they had 50 Wright State fans there. The next year at the Wright Nutter Center, it would be 10,000 fans sold out there. 10,000 fans.
Mikey, just shut up for a second and understand that what the hell has those 13,000 fans did for them to start this season. I don't hate UD. I hate people like you who say stupid things about attendance that have nothing to do with the on-court performance. That's all you have to bring up this time is the damn attendance, because your team can't win a damn game against crappy teams like UMass Lowell, and that's embarrassing. You got blown out by 19. What did those 13,000 fans do for you last night, Mikey? Huh? Bring that up. Stop bringing up the stupid fans. That means nothing. Wins, losses.
What does that have to do with how you play basketball? You got smashed by Purdue. And by the way,
what does that have to do with anything, you moron? You are a moron. You are a straight moron. Kev, hang up on it. Hang up. We are done with Mikey. I give you a lot of airtime to say stupid or thing. You're making me sound stupid. I can't even talk. I let you talk long enough. I'm done. Because it's not just Mikey that says that. By the way, today was not supposed to be about Wright State and UD. It was supposed to be about UD to start. I wanted to hear from fans about how they thought that things were going to turn around, if they were turn around. And then you got morons like Mikey who call in and bring up, well, the attendance this, the attendance that. 13,000 fans. That's super. I love the passion of that fan base, so I'm not bashing them. I'm bashing you, Mikey. You are a moron who literally keeps bringing up fan bases, which has nothing to do with this. 13,000 fans were in attendance for UIC. You barely beat them. It took a big run at the end of that game. 13,000 fans watched you lose to UMass Lowell. 13,000 fans watched you lost last night by 19 to Lipscomb. So stop boring everybody with this fan attendance crap that literally doesn't do a damn thing, because all that matters is wins and losses. I can't breathe. I'm going to commercial break. It might just be the Kev Nash show from here. I have no idea, but I'm so sick of hearing about the stupid attendance. And it's not stupid. I'm not down. This is why I wish I could sit down with Neil Sullivan and Anthony Grant and say this. It sounds like I hate that program because of morons like Mikey who make stupid, moronic arguments that have nothing to do with what goes on that floor. Did 13,000 fans help against Lipscomb and all those teams? No. But the only reason that program's relevant is because of those 13,000 fans, and I get that. But not having 13,000 fans at the Nutter Center, does that keep Wright State from competing at a high level? No. They made it to the NCAA a few years ago without 13,000 fans. They've made just as many NITs since Anthony Grant's been here as Anthony Grant, in front of 7,000 less fans per game. Stop with the same lame arguments. It was not supposed to be about UD Wright State. That's not what today was supposed to be about. It just was not. Mikey, you made it that way. Don't call in again. Bye.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
My go-to order at Skyline has always been a regular 3-way and cheese coney. But today, I made the switch to 5-way. Those hearty beans and diced onions took it to another level. From now on, I'm a Skyline 5-way guy.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Hustler Turf commercial mowers are built tough to work hard. Whether you need a fleet of mowers or are a one-man show, you don't have time for downtime. Hustler mowers are over-engineered, overbuilt, and tested well beyond what is required, with the most complete lineup in the industry, including exclusives like a 104-inch Super 104, an 88-inch stand-on, and industry-leading warranties. Hustler mowers are ready to handle what you throw at them. Build your fleet to be reliable and versatile with Hustler Turf. Visit Small Engine Service Pros in New Carlisle today.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
OHMB 803-342 and MLS 304138. Do you need help with a loan to purchase or refinance your home? Have you applied for a home loan and been told you do not qualify for a loan? Are you a first-time buyer and have questions regarding the home buying process? Are you considering refinancing your existing home? Do you live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, or South Carolina? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, you need to call Forrest Ferris at 3rd Street Financial Home Loans at 513-320-5911, who is available 7 days a week to help you. We're 3rd Street Financial Home Loans, and Forrest Ferris specializes in approving home loans banks and other lenders cannot or will not approve. Some of our clients might have low credit scores, been through a divorce, want to buy a home for sale by owner, are in a land contract, or dealing with probate or estate homes. Call Forrest now for a free estimate, 513-320-5911. That's 513-320-5911. Offer valid for purchase or refinancing of homes located in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, and South Carolina only. Minimum loan amount $60,000. Limitations and restrictions apply.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed helps you attract, screen, and interview quality candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Holy moly, welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you on 1410. ESPN Radio.
You all right?
I'm fine. Look, it wasn't like that. I got angry because it wasn't supposed to be about that, man. Like, it really was not. It had nothing to do with Wright State. Nothing. But like, that's what, and like, this is the problem that I have, is because like, I let the people like Mikey put me in position to frame all fans that way, and that's not right. That's a me problem. So that's where I made a mistake years ago doing this, is I started attacking certain members of the fan base because I thought they all thought like Mikey. There's actually a lot of normal, rational, awesome Dayton Flyers. Look, that fan base, I'm not going to bash that fan base. They put 13,000. Like, it's so rare what they have. It's unbelievable. I don't need to sit here and over-explain that. But, like, don't call in because you're upset with how your season has started and to put down the other team in town to make you feel better about your current situation.
You're right.
So that's all I'm going to say. And everyone coming, oh, you shouldn't talk. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. You shouldn't talk to listeners. I'm like, give me a break. Give me a break.
Well, there's a fine line between there. I mean, when a person can't answer a simple question, and, you know, one has nothing to do with the other, right? State's performance has nothing to do with UD's performance and vice versa. And neither does attendance. You know, they don't play. Okay, fine. They don't play. So you being mad that UD is not playing good basketball right now to immediately just go, well, Wright State got blew out by Purdue. Well, what does that have to do with anything? They're never going to play. I mean, I think we can all probably say that. They're probably never going to play in our lifetime, unfortunately. But that has nothing to do with how either team performs. How UD plays basketball isn't going to affect how Wright State plays basketball and vice versa. And when you have situations like that, that's the questions I always ask people when this conversation comes up. Like, one wants to bash the other. Like, well, that has nothing to do with what's going on with your team. Because your team is playing bad, you're happy the other team's playing bad or got blew out or whatever. And then you go to the attendance thing, which is so strange to me. Like, I just don't understand it, man. And I'll probably never will understand it. And you're right. It's a situation where you want to defend, your alma mater, obviously, and everything like that. And then you come across as you're bashing UD, when that's not the case, when you're just really trying to understand or bash that individual that's bashing your team. And then you have no recourse but to bash UD because they're bashing Wright State when the conversation had absolutely nothing to do with Wright State. I'm amazed how that happens every time Mikey calls in, that miraculously it goes to, Wright State sucks. He's an interim coach. Like, these left field turns are amazing. And as far as biting the hand that feeds you, look, man, I'm like kind of like the guy on the show that kind of like plays it in the middle and tries to see things from everybody's perspective. But you can't have a caller calling in irate and berating both hosts of the show and just, oh, okay, cool, Mikey. Like, come on, man. At some point, we do have to speak up and, quote unquote, defend ourselves and everything like that. And we do appreciate Mikey listening, of course. But come on, man. Like, some of these takes are just off the wall. I mean, fire Ryan Day. Like, let's not forget he said that as well. Like, so take credit or listen to who's saying some of these outlandish things.
Yeah, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN. All I wanted to, and like, this started with a 1-2 start for Dayton. Not a good start to the season. And it's not really about the record. You could turn the record around. The record could still end up being a very good record for the Flyers down the stretch. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they head to Orlando and get a couple big wins against some top-tier programs. And then we're sitting here scratching our heads saying, so who are the Flyers? Are they the team that just beat a couple good quality teams in Orlando? Or are they the team that lost to UMass Lowell and Lipscomb? Like, it was supposed to be about UD only, not Wright State. And the only time I brought up Wright State was when I wasn't being a homer. I was actually bashing them for how embarrassing they looked against number 6 in the country, Purdue, because as I said, you're not expected to beat those teams, but when you're only a 16-point dog and you're down by double that at halftime, there's a lot of things you could have done differently. I wasn't being a homer there. I just got done questioning their, sorry, damn animals getting in the way over here. I was actually, being critical of them. But as far as the Flyers are concerned, we've seen too much of these inconsistencies where they will get some wins and you're like, holy crap, man, they're like really, really good. And then they'll lose to some teams that you sit there scratching your head saying, what in the world's going on? It's only a big deal right now because the UMass Lowell game was bad. But, following that up with the really bad loss, a 19-point loss at home, against Lipscomb. Now we have to sit here and start questioning things. I don't want to hear about the youth of this roster. And as I've said earlier, there is some room to be critical of Anthony Grant for why the roster is at this point to begin with. How can you be 5 years in and have a roster that is so young and no experience up at the top? Like, you have to do a better job of balancing out these rosters. It looks like a roster that you would be left with taking over a program, not having and sitting on 4 or 5 years in. That's the problem that I have. And that's where I'm at right now. And this is the same problem you guys should have. It's not a matter of, oh man, the Flyers stink. They're an embarrassment. They shouldn't even have a team. None of that. It was a simple conversation about the Flyers start to the season, which social media has been divided. There are a huge amount of Flyer fans who sit here and defend the program and say that they're totally fine and that they are going to be fine. Super. Then there's others that are like, oh no, this program has fallen off way too quickly from a year and a half ago, not 2 seasons ago. Keep in mind, it's still November of 2021. It was March of 2020 when this team was number 3 in the country. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. To fall off that quickly. That's what this was supposed to be about more than anything else. And not really bashing the program, but being critical of where they are currently at. Can they turn it around? Absolutely. Does that erase what they just did? Absolutely not. But right now, it's hard to have a positive outlook for the rest of the season. And, to talk about getting to the NCAA tournament. To get to the NCAA tournament, that means you have to beat really, really good teams. How can a fan base be confident about a team's ability to beat really, really good teams when you're losing to UMass Lowell and to Lipscomb? I think that's a fair criticism. I don't think that's me hating. I was critical of Ohio State basketball for only beating Niagara by a possession, for only beating Akron by a possession. I was very critical of Ohio State to start the season. This isn't a pick on UD thing. This is being critical of a basketball team that should be better than what they are. It's that simple. 518-1410. Kev, who we have?
We got Dan.
Dan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Justin, Kev?
Good.
I'm all right. My blood pressure's down.
Mikey made one idiotic point amongst many that I hope you guys would have addressed. He said that Wright State's not a nationally known school and brings nothing to the table. The two schools that they lost to, are they nationally known schools?
Dan, you're awesome.
I mean,
you got a point.
I never heard of them until you guys brought it up tonight. And they lost to those two teams. And Wright State's not a nationally known school, but they've been to the dance before, haven't they?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Mikey's point was ridiculous, among many ridiculous points.
Can't argue.
That's
with
really
you.
all I wanted to say.
Can't argue at all with you, Dan. I'm with you 100%. Who's your team, Dan? Who do you root for in town? I mean, not in town. I'm sorry. That's a bad question.
College-wise is Ohio State.
Okay.
But I love UD and I love Wright State. I go to their games every once in a while.
And that's my whole thing.
I'd love to see the two of them play. I think it'd be great for the city.
Yep. And thanks, Dan. Thank you, man. I appreciate the
Thanks,
call.
Dan.
And it's back to that again. But see, like people say, we're steering it that way. It got brought back up. It went back into Wright State UD. It's not necessarily us, Kev. The callers bring it up.
Right.
Mikey brought it up. Dan, great call. He brought it up. It's not us bringing it up. The callers bring it up because for the one side that says no one wants it, people keep bringing it up. And that's not the point of this conversation. It means those two schools playing, it doesn't make Wright State elite. It doesn't make UD elite. Like it does, like Wright State doesn't, Wright State, UD doesn't need Wright State. Wright State doesn't need UD either.
Right.
We're having an argument that we're not having.
It's very puzzling.
I just don't get it, man. We got Sully with Talking Out Loud coming up here in just about 15 minutes from now. We'll hang out with him for 15 minutes, and then we'll jump right into the conversation. We'll jump right into Ohio State basketball pregame coverage beginning at 5:45, 6:30, the tip-off, Ohio State and Xavier. And I do think that that's why that's kind of floating in the air. So I think that's why it's floating in the air. Kev, who we got?
We got Nick.
Nick, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing a little bit better than I think you are, bud.
I'm fine. I get tired of dumb arguments and like how many asses in seats dictates whether a team is good or not. Like that's why I was just like I'd had enough.
Didn't we just go through a whole year where like nobody was in the stands and watch people play? Who cares, right?
Yep. That's
who cares who's in the stands? It's what's on the court, and what's on the court last night. Let me tell you something. You're right. We can talk about the youth at UD all you want, but you still got to play defense. And I thought that was one of Grant's staples, and that's one of the things that I'm most upset about is the guys that were wide open last night from Wilson, just hitting those threes. I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't going to fix itself fast.
What do you think about their shooting, though? Like they're only
that's the other thing. It's awful.
I'm low hanging fruit with this. Like I'd immediately go to shooting percentages and everything like that and scoring the ball. Like it's 2021, man. You have to at least average 70 to 75 points a game. Like it's so easy to score in today's basketball. And there's so many good shooters out there. And we're led to believe that we have good shooters on the UD roster. Where are the shooting? Where are the guys knocking down shots? They're open shots. They're not hitting them right now. And when you're in a situation like that early in the season, when you still have St. Bonaventure on the schedule twice, it's panic. Yeah, it's time to panic because we're not hitting shots. So what are we going to do against the elite teams in the conference?
Well, one of the things that I was looking at too, Kevin, is you, me, and Justin can sit there and beat this team in a free throw shooting contest. And I don't understand that to save my life when that should be one of your focal points. That's 3 points.
Yeah.
I mean, and the talent's there. It's not a lack of talent. We know it's there, but it's like just not gelling as a team. And not that I'm expecting them to be a finished product 3 games in, but like what I keep, like the problem is not that they're young. Okay. Or maybe let me rephrase that. Maybe their struggles are coming from that they're young, but the problem is that they're young. Why are they this young? The roster construction is what I have a huge problem with. Like, no coach that's been there for more than 3 years should ever have a roster made up of this many 1 to 2 years, experienced players. Like, that's another door to open up for criticism as far as I'm concerned when it comes to this team, because everything moving forward, it can't just be when they lose, oh, it's because they're young, but then when they win, it's because of great coaching. So it's like one of those where when they lose, it's not because of coaching, it's because they're young. And when they win, it's because of great coaching. It can't be both. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at with this.
No, you're right. And you think about I think is Weaver the oldest class rank on the team, other than the walk-on. And otherwise, if he wasn't here for the transfer, it would be all freshmen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, did guys get chased away? Was it play? I mean, that's on the coaches as well to have this roster, depleted, like you said. I do want to say one thing, though, Justin. And you guys are right. The callers always bring up the UD Wright State thing. The fact that these teams that couldn't get together to play when we had all the tornadoes, the shooting in the Oregon, and couldn't come together to help raise money for this community, we just need to all stop. They're never going to play. Yep. Who knows why? Who cares? They've already proved that they're self-indulgent, and they're not going to come together to play. Because they could have done something good for this community. So we just need to put it away. Everybody realizes they're not going to play and just move on.
I'm with you.
I agree. Yeah, Kev, sorry.
I said I'm with him. He's 100% correct. If they're not going to play after all the tragedies that happened with the tornado in the Oregon district, they're never going to play. And of course, I want them to play. But, I mean, I think it's abundantly clear that they're not. So I don't think it's Wright State saying, hey, players. I think they've moved on a long time ago as well. I think it's probably us as Wright State alum or Wright State basketball fans that want them to play and everything like that. They're just not going to play. And it is what it is. And guess what? Wright State can get to where they want to be without playing UD, and UD can also do the same. So it's just a bummer that you got 2 D1 programs in the same city and, one refuses to play the other. At some point, we all just got to say it is what it is.
I agree, Kevin. And like I said, the other caller point, getting beat by Marshall and Purdue is a lot better than getting beat by the Sisters of the Poor, and I don't know who they are.
I mean, all logic was thrown out.
Have a good one, guys.
Nick, take care.
Later.
518-1410.
I'm sorry.
Michael Green on Facebook says, this is an Anthony Grant problem. If you look at his records at both VCU and Alabama, he started out strong and faded after a few years. I mean, look, when you look at those patterns that develop in other programs and stuff, everything's going to be dependent on, the landscape of college basketball, the current time of which you're coaching and living in. But there was an opportunity to take what happened a year and a half ago. Like, not 2 seasons. Yes, it was technically 2 seasons ago, but a year and a half ago. I mean, people forget that, man, that 2020 season, if only the NCAA tournament happened, who knows what could have happened. That was only a year and a half ago. And to go from that to this so quickly, that's alarming. And I think that's on Anthony Grant, but I'm not going to base it on patterns from before, because Anthony Grant's proven he can get a team to that level. And I think that's what's so hard to dictate what to make of this, because I can't sit there and say that Anthony Grant had nothing to do with that team's success in 2020, because that was his team. And then, discredit everything after that. He has proven he can do that. But right now he's also proving he doesn't have a good grasp of what to do with this team. It is, I mean, when you have a team as young as this, that's where coaching does need to step in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where, I mean, we've seen coaches who have less I mean, let's look at UMass Lowell and Lipscomb, 2 rosters that don't even come close to having the kind of talent that UD does. But because of coaching, they were able to coach up the lesser talented rosters over the more talented roster. And that's where coaching comes into play. And especially when you lose on your home court. It sounds like, well, look, 1 and 2 to start, 2 bad losses. I'm not piling it on the Flyers. It is what it is. But like, Austin Peay's coming up. What do you do with that game? I mean, you can't feel good about that. They were a 9-point favorite last night. They lost by 19.
My question is, how much do you think the lack of March Madness hurt this team in recruiting. Because let's keep it real, man. Because we live here in town and everything like that, we remember that season. We talk about, oh, man, what could have been and everything like that. But to the national media and the other schools out there and the big brands and everything like that, like Duke, Kentucky and everything like that, that season's over and done with. We're on to the next recruiting phase. And those teams are always pulling in those 5-star recruits and everything like that. How much of not having March Madness, having OB all over the place nonstop? Because, you know, a lot of the OB highlights, you caught those on Sports Center and everything like that, unless you were a local fan and everything like that. So how much of them not being plastered across March Madness, like a 8:00 tip off and OB going bananas and the 3-point shooting from all the guys and everything like that, how much do you think that really affected recruiting? Because it was kind of out of sight, out of mind.
For me, they were the talk of all of college basketball that year, and I think that they should have been able. I think they did capitalize off it. They have their highest ranked recruiting class ever this upcoming season. To expect them to lead the way, like, that's my whole point, though, is if you have that top recruiting class coming in their program history, it should have been complemented by more upperclassmen, and it's not. So Anthony Grant didn't fail when it came to recruiting as far as bringing this class in. They capitalized on it from that standpoint, but they failed in regards to balancing it out with, you know, this with upperclassmen, juniors, seniors, and what have you. I mean, if you had this group come in last year with the Jalen Crutcher and Ibby Watson and guys like that, and you balance it out with the Chimunga, who's not the best big man of all time, but my goodness, just someone that's big and can rebound down there. My goodness, it would have complemented last year's team better. Like, it would have made, if this year's roster was coming into last year's team for UD, much different layout and much different expectations and much different results. But when you talk about teams, you know, capitalizing on making the NCAA tournament, or at least capitalize on all the greatness that comes with it, I mean, the team that's been doing that is Loyola. Loyola is the team that has done the best job of taking postseason performances and capitalize on it and building on it. You look, 26-5 for Loyola last year, 21-11, 20-14. 32-6 the year before, all NCAA tournaments, the Final Four back in 18, Sweet 16 this past year. That's a program that was able to get to the Final Four and be able to sustain that run and be a top program in the country. UD couldn't do what Loyola did. Now, Loyola had to do all that to get to where UD is in the A10.
Right.
But UD should be so far ahead of Loyola, and Loyola's catching up with UD, and UD should just continuously be moving away from them. It was just announced yesterday, of course, Loyola, newest member of the A10, so that's why I use that comparison. But I think they did capitalize on it, Kev, from that standpoint, but the roster management is very poor. And I think that you can lose momentum very quickly, and I think they've lost momentum a ton right now. Like, I think it's very hard to gain momentum and sustain it, but you can lose it like that. And that, Jake brings up a good point on Facebook, Kev. He says, to you and the caller's point about how young UD is, am I the only one who feels like it's a possibility that Weaver transfers when the portal opens? His body language doesn't look like a dude who's thrilled to meet. Maybe he doesn't. Here? But remember, Kev, I was so critical of Weaver at the media day when he said it was disrespectful that the A10 had them ranked at number 5. And I said, you shouldn't be making comments like that in the preseason. You were ranked at fifth in the A10 in the preseason poll because no one knows anything about you. Now, if they had to re-rank those teams, UD's not number 5, and it wasn't disrespectful or anything like that. But no, Weaver, a lot of players look like they're hanging their head, and they should be. But someone's going to have to step up, and that is where the lack of upperclassmen is going to stem from. But Weaver is an upperclassman with this team. He should be the guy rallying this group, and I think that's concerning. The lack of leadership at the top is concerning if I'm a Dayton Flyers fan.
Absolutely. He's the junior on the team. He's the upperclassman on the team. And coaches can only tell you so much, and you're going to follow your coach and everything like that. But, leadership comes from inside the team. You think that OB would let some of this stuff ride? You think Crutcher will let some of this stuff ride? Like some of those defensive lapses that were happening the other day? You think those dudes are going to let that type of stuff ride? I think not. I think there've been some furniture moving in that locker room if they were playing like that under the previous regime or previous guys that were in that locker room. So culture comes from the head coach and is cultivated by the guys in the locker room from buy-in. That's why I was talking about earlier in the show about, buy-in from the guys, get guys that want to buy into UD Flyer basketball, not just coming here to get theirs and then try to go on to the next level and everything like that. So better be some buy-in, because you know what? We know some of the guys that used to be on those teams. Maybe some of those guys need to pay them a visit and let them know what UD basketball is about, and let them know that the way they're playing isn't going to cut it.
All right, 518-1410. Let's talk with Sully from Talking Out Loud. Him and I had a conversation earlier today, too, about delivering your points in a calm manner.
I would have loved to have been on a fly on the wall in that conversation.
Well, I'm curious. Sully's. We're going to talk with him next. Sully, Talking Out Loud, joins us next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear, sunny, and windy, a high near 48. Tonight will be mostly clear, a low around 28. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 42. I'm Pete Spyback for 1410 ESPN Radio.
500,000 businesses connect using Zoom, a single platform for video, phone, chat, and conference rooms. Zoom enables real-time collaboration no matter where your teams are. Global enterprises trust the easy-to-use, reliable, and secure Zoom platform to power high-performance teams. Empower your workforce with Zoom. Save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
This is Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Tomorrow.
Our public schools are under attack in the State House, where alarming bills are threatening to allow big government into our classrooms to censor educators working hard to provide every child an accurate and quality education. Let's stand up to the anti-freedom politicians who want to whitewash parts of our history so they can control a political narrative.
Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford. For your free quote, call 1-800-519-0449. That's 1-800-519-0449. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-519-0449. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Save on everything during Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2021. Masterforce has the largest selection of power tool accessories with over 500 accessories in stock. From drill and dry bits to saw blades, sanding belts, and discs. Save today with 11% off all Masterforce power tool accessories. Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2021 is good through Wednesday, November 24th. Savings are mail-in rebates. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
There's a confusion about how to protect yourself from COVID. But one thing is for sure, whether or not you're vaccinated, you need an accurate thermometer. Contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever, the leading sign of COVID and the flu. Only the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They have no scientific studies behind them and can miss the fever that might mean COVID. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Hundreds of thousands of people have said goodbye to their overpriced Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile plans and switched to Pure Talk on the same great 5G coverage as one of those carriers. Get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. The average family is saving over $800 a year. Just dial pound 250 and say Jill50 to save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250. Say Jill50.
Bags under your eyes? That's junk sleep. And Mattress Firm can help. Shop the Black Friday sale and save up to $500 on top-rated mattress brands like Sleepy's.
Call William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning at 937-222-8638 for reliable Lennox products that can make the air in your home absolutely perfect. Ohio license number 14911.
It's Black Friday now at JCPenney. Starting Friday, shop thousands of Black Friday deals across the store while they last. Our Yes Please diamonds are only $19.99 each. Bundle up the family in jackets under $25. Plus, update with cookware and cutlery, now $9.99 each after $10 mail-in rebate. These deals are yours for the gifting. Happy Black Friday, JCPenney. Offers valid on select items 11/19 through 11/21. Conditions and exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Napa know-how.
Right now, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic motor oil is only $19.99. It's the hottest deal of the year for the coldest time of the year. So if you're in your car right now, there's no need to turn on the heat. I'm about to read this sizzler again. That's Napa full synthetic for a hot $19.99. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating locations does not include taxes and fees. Advertised sale price not available in some states. Offer ends 12/31/21.
We worked together at the hospital, so we started going to Skyline. It was a place that we could decompress and relax, and it always made the day so much better. It's harder now to get together, kids, family, and jobs, but when we go to Skyline, that's our place. It's always a good feeling at Skyline. Yeah, you get all the good feels.
Skyline Chili is now hiring. Apply online at skylinechili.com/careers.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Dayton Barrel Works Bourbon and Whiskey Bash is Saturday, November 20th, noon till 3 p.m. Over 40 bourbons and whiskeys to sample. For tickets, call 937-228-2337. Dayton Barrel Works, 318 East 2nd Street in Dayton.
Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson and Xenia has gifts for everyone on your list this year. November 24th, 26th, and 27th. Take 20% off licensed products, 10% off aftermarket non-Harley-Davidson parts, and have those incredible gifts wrapped and ready to go with free gift wrapping. Get those names checked off your list and give them what they really want this year, the gift of Harley-Davidson. Buckman's D&D Harley-Davidson, 1213 Xenia Avenue in Xenia. Online at buckmansdnd.com.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Shop Black Friday even earlier at Lowe's with deals on drills, impact drivers, and decor. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility.
Justin Kidder, Kevin Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Sully from Talking Out Loud joins us now. And Sully, I think you all, you know why we brought you on. The big question everyone wants to know is, will the Browns extend Baker? Oh, wait, no, that's not what we're Sully, what's up, man? How are you?
Oh, man, in my Dayton fandom, I've had better days, as you guys know, but I definitely don't have the anger or animosity that brewed within me last year. Anybody that watched the game on Wednesday night that Dayton lost could have probably seen this writing on the wall. Maybe not that 19-point writing on the wall, but I think every fan that has a critical eye and watched that game Wednesday night was extremely leery about the outcome of the game last night. So, I guess take that for what it's worth. Seeing it coming doesn't make it any easier to stomach, but it's the reality nonetheless, right?
So I'm curious where you're at with this. The one thing I'm most critical of Dayton, it's not the results. Yes, be critical of those. But the one reason I keep hearing from people as to why the results are what they are is because of how young this team is. But isn't that something to be critical of as well? Because Anthony Grant, this is year number 5, I believe. I don't believe a coach this far into his tenure with the team should ever have a roster that is this young, unless you're one of those one and done type programs, in which they are not. That should be the bigger question. Not, oh man, what's wrong with this team? Is it because of how inexperienced they are? It's, well, why are they so inexperienced? Why is there such a gap between classes? I know, I get it. The transfer portal, it decimates programs all the time, but I think roster management has been one of Anthony Grant's biggest flaws when it comes to this program that has led to this. It's because it's not a matter of talent. It's just roster management.
Well, there's a couple of things to unpack there, and I'll do my best because I know that your show's cut short a little bit by the Buckeyes game there. But a couple of things to unpack on Dayton right now, and really where it starts and ends is that a lot of the talking points and a lot of the defenses of Anthony Grant are fairly contradictory. If you're going to say how great of a coach he is, okay, you certainly have that right. You can certainly say that he's a great recruiter. Nobody can really have an argument to the contrary, right? And so because he's such a great recruiter going into the season, you heard, well, they have so much talent. Man, they have so much talent. That's all I heard all season was that the expectations were starting to get raised because of how much talent they had. And so I asked people, all right, if they have so much talent, why are we losing these first couple of games to schools that are beneath us, right? And so I started to think, if you took 5 guys from Dayton and you took 5 guys from Lipscomb or 5 guys from UMass Lowell, and they met at a park in Dayton right now, who do you think is going to win? With no one else around, just their 5 against our 5. That tells me that we had more talent and it wasn't utilized properly. So then you go to the young thing. They're young. They're going to figure it out. What was AG thinking putting this young roster together? I keep hearing that, young. And I don't know if people want to be selective with the way that they're breaking this down, or they just need talking points to explain away the bad basketball. But last night's starting lineup featured one true freshman, just one, okay? The other 2 guys, Blakeney and Brea, they have 1 year of college basketball under their belt. Then you had Elijah Weaver and you had Tamani Kamara, okay? Elijah Weaver is a transfer. He has already played 2 seasons before he got to Dayton, and then he played a season last year. So technically, Elijah Weaver is in his 4th collegiate season playing basketball, all right? Put a pin in that. Then you look at Tamani Kamara. He's a transfer from Georgia. He played 2 full seasons at Georgia. He is now at Dayton. So if we didn't have all of this COVID mess and guys' eligibility years getting cut off, Tamani Kamara is essentially a junior. Elijah Weaver is essentially a senior. Blakeney and Brea are essentially sophomores, okay? I don't care which way you need to cut it in your head. That's the God's honest reality about who took the floor last night. And then you have Duran, who's a true freshman. And it's funny to me that each loss now, in the last 2 losses, the number of freshmen on the roster just keeps getting larger in people's heads. I heard 8, I heard 9. Mark Adams put on Twitter today that they have 11 freshmen. He was counting the walk-ons. It's getting absolutely absurd. But I need people to recognize the reality that they put 2 upperclassmen on that lineup last night, 2 sophomores, and then 1 true freshman. They have 4 true freshmen on the lineup. 2 of them haven't even touched the floor yet. So I don't know, like, you have to spare me with the young shot. If you think Anthony Grant is this great coach, if you think that he's the guy, if none of this is his fault, that's fine. But then you need to come up with another argument as to why Dayton just lost on their home floor to Lipscomb and UMass Lowell with all this talent that was brought into the roster, right?
You have a couple games. I mean, look, you have that big invitation to Orlando coming up, and you still got big, like Virginia Tech. You got big games coming up one way or another before you even get into A-10 play. And I guess that's where I'm at with that. And here's the other thing too, like young teams, so the UIC game, if they won that, they pulled away late. If they would have lost that game late, a young team loses that game. Okay, that's how young teams lose games. They don't know how to close games out. They closed it out. They didn't know how to, they didn't technically close it out against UMass Lowell, fine, but like last night losing by 19, that's not a young team thing. That's just not executing properly out on the floor. But as you said, if there's a silver lining here, the talent's there. The talent is there to be able to match up with these teams moving forward here within the next month. But like I don't know how to feel good about these games coming up because we've seen them lose to the worst of the worst, and we're supposed to buy in that they could beat the best of the best. That's going to be the big thing that they have to shake is the perception. How do they do that in the coming games, and can that be erased? If they come blow out Austin Peay on Saturday, can they erase that?
Well, yeah, but usually at this portion of the season, 3 games in, and let's say the Flyers would have started 2-1, and like you said, let's say they had a close loss. Usually in those seasons, we can typically get together and say, if these things would have gone right, they would have won. If these guys would have made a contribution, if they would have turned the ball over less, the result would have been different. This is not that. And I want people to understand, like, this is not that, okay? Whatever your expectations were going into this season, whether they're high, low, or indifferent, if you thought they were capable of putting the talent together to get an at-large bid, great. If you thought they were going to stink, that's great too, but there is no Dayton fan out there, not one, that thinks that they were going to start the season 1-2. And the second loss being an absolute blowout. So now I'm looking forward and I'm saying, okay, how are they going to win games? Or if you had to nail me down, how are they going to beat Austin Peay on Saturday? And the worst part is, I don't have any clue. I mean, I really do pride myself on watching basketball with an analytic eye. I've never coached basketball, so I won't say that. I'm just saying, like, from a fan perspective, I do try to watch the game as analytically as possible. And I can't tell you a single thing that this team has done well on offense. I think that Deron Holmes has been extremely disruptive on the defensive end. I think he's struggled on the offensive end. I think Malachi Smith is playing with more effort than anybody on the roster. And those are the 2 freshmen that have played. So then you look at the rest of the roster, and I don't really know why Kamara all of a sudden wants to shoot the 3 ball. I still have no idea what Dayton is getting from Kobe Elvis. I mean, he's able to drive and kick, but he doesn't do anything well consistently. And Elijah Weaver's the same thing. I mean, it's just inconsistency. And so I am having trouble right now putting the pieces together to say, here's how Dayton's going to win on Saturday, or here's how they can turn it around. I mean, nothing has worked for Dayton. And just like you said, the most concerning part, and the part that Grant has taken credit for, I'm not going to sit here and blast AG like he hasn't addressed these things. He's not a stupid guy. He knows the problems that exist right now because they're obvious and they are many. But he did take credit and say, the team wasn't prepared. And that's what we've said all week. The team did not look prepared for UMass Lowell, and they did not look prepared for Lipscomb, and they got outplayed and they got outcoached. And that's why people are upset. If you, like you said, if Dayton had lost a couple of close games, they went on the road, they played in a raucous environment, man, this team's young. They'll figure it out. They lost that one. That's a tough one. We'll bounce back. We are not talking about that. We are talking about Dayton starting the season, losing 2 bye games to 2 programs that are soundly in the mid-major ranks. If that's not concerning to people, I implore you to raise your expectations for what is possible for the Dayton program, because this just ain't good enough, man.
We have 60 seconds left. Sully, Cav brought up a good point earlier that, yes, it's easy to beat up on the coaching, and we say that this roster's talented, but the blame has to go on the players too. This team is talented. Is it what's going on there? Which player are you most disappointed in right now? For me, it's Elijah Weaver. Is that who you're looking at? Which play? And I'm not beating up on a kid, but I'm just saying, like, which player do you believe is just not doing what they should be doing that is also at fault for the on-floor performance?
Yeah, quickly. I mean, if you made me nail it down, one guy that I'm most surprised about, it's Mustafa Anzil. And I mean, it does go back to coaching. The guy, if everybody remembers, he came in off the street, put on his clothes and jacket, and scored 22 for Dayton last year, literally out of nowhere. Now he's like the seventh man on the floor, and he looks like a shell of himself. I have to say, like, I am extremely surprised about that, and I don't know if that's a coaching thing, a player development thing. I have no idea, but the Anzil that we have seen this year is a far cry from the guy that we got last year.
Talking Out Loud with Sully. Find the podcast wherever you find your podcast. You can also catch him every Thursday at 6 o'clock here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Being bumped tonight because of Ohio State basketball, but we'll have it at 9, and we'll also have it tomorrow at noon. Sully, good stuff, man. Sorry we didn't have more time from you. And Kevin and I were joking. Remember I told you earlier how about being calm on the radio for me. How'd that work out today?
Not so much.
Yeah, you guys are giving morons too much airtime, but you know what? I guess it's content. I was listening, so I got a little fired up too, man. So I don't blame you. You know, not everybody can be as rational and pragmatic about UD hoops as us. All right.
He went at my guy. I had your back. He said that because you didn't play basketball, that anything you saw. I said, okay, so people who don't play basketball, if they have a take you disagree with, it's because it just drives me nuts when people say it. But I had your back.
Tell him to come over. I'll give him buckets right now. I didn't play at Dayton, but I can give you buckets right now if you come over. I got a court right down the street. I'd be ready, man. I'll lace him up.
3 to the dome.
Take care, Sully.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Later.
All right. Until tomorrow, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Kev, good stuff.
Yes, sir.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
A player of his ability on their roster, and he clearly got his team, put them on their back, made some big shots, and got them going. A big reason why they were able to win that ball game.
We'll tell you a little more about both of these teams. It's